Okay. Oh, now we've started. Here we go, Chris. Well, hello, everyone. It is me, Scott. You know, that guy that you occasionally stumble across here on YouTube. And today I am doing a hangout with my good friend, Chris. Now, Chris, is it Baber? Is that correct?
Baber. Yes,
Baber?
My name is Baber. It's not Molpagano, so I know you can pronounce it.
Not Chris Molpagano. Well, Chris and I are hanging out today. We're discussing, well, actually, we're going to discuss heavily of what he adventured onto last weekend. So, Chris, real quick, I want to do a simple introduction.
Sure.
Chris, I know probably a lot of viewers that are watching this right now. They probably have seen you on Facebook. Is there any other social media that you may be popular with?
No, not really. I mean, I do use my Instagram a little bit because there are those that don't use Facebook, which is fine.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've seen since the Monster Mania, my Facebook has increased by about 60 now. So it was fun. It was fun.
So speaking of, you were at Monster Mania, and that was located last weekend. Where was that located at?
Monster Mania 42 was located in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, the home of no U-turns.
Well, I'm not
interesting.
I'm not very familiar with that location since I'm here in Ohio. You notice
and don't try to pump your own gas because you will get yelled at.
There's actually someone that I follow on YouTube, and he's in his early 30s, and he's from New Jersey, and he moved to Pennsylvania 4 years ago, and he's never pumped gas in his life. So his dad had to show him, and he showed it on YouTube. So, but anyways,
awesome.
Chris, excuse me, great doing this right here on well, it's not live. Well, we'll pretend it's live.
Sure.
Chris, with this was your first HorrorCon, correct?
Correct. I'd always seen HorrorCons be advertised. Unfortunately, because I was, service related in the Army for the last 30 years, every time there was one near, I was never able to go to it. So I promised myself when I retired in October that I would definitely get to one. And after this last weekend I'm definitely not going to miss another one if I can help it.
Well, Chris, I know I've told you this before personally, like through Messenger. If it wasn't for men and women like yourself, if it wasn't for you guys, there's no way that we would be able to enjoy those, I want to say festivals. I don't know why, but those conventions, because I mean, I think so many of us take that for granted, but you're going off, you're making a huge sacrifice, being away from your family, from being from your home to fight for your country that you love. And if it wasn't for you, we all owe you a huge thank you. I was going to say but thank you for doing. And how many years were you in the Army?
30. I joined in 88.
30, 80. I was 18 years. Did I just say that out loud?
Well, 17 for me.
I do. I'm serious. I thank you so much for, all those years, and you deserve, you're retired now, as you said, and whatever you plan on doing next. I mean, you deserve so much for everything that you've sacrificed, and I really do appreciate that so much. And everybody else that's watching this, you should be thanking Chris and any other relatives as well, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to enjoy all this stuff. Seriously, think about it. And speaking of which, Chris gave me a gift, and I haven't even opened it yet. So before I open this, I want to hear more from you. I'm rambling on way too much, and you're worried about it. What was it like when you first got there?
Well, we checked in Friday. We didn't sign up for the Friday event because, my wife, Jen, had to work. We got there, checked in the hotel, went to the restaurant, met a few people that were going the next day. And then Saturday morning we got up. We had, luckily, if anybody's watching this, definitely buy the 1 hour early pass. It's like extra $5, maybe $10, but it is worth it because Saturday had been sold out. There was a line from the middle door next to the photo op area going back out. And there was about 100 and 120 people that were there just on standby that may or may not have gotten in. But yeah, Saturday, if you're going to go and you go Saturday, you got to plan early. But when we got there Saturday, the minute we hit the hotel door to the main lobby, to the concierge. It wasn't in about 5 to 10 seconds. I had a lady in a yellow shirt walk directly up to me and say, "How can I help you?" And I'm like, "What?" And I told her, I said, "Look, I'm pre-pass, prepaid. Where do I go?" Because I'm all I saw were just like hundreds, if not thousands, of people just spread out everywhere. And then she had told me to go to this table and over by the photo op area, and they'll check you in based on that little like QR code that you have on your phone. Mm-hmm. And I went to that table, and there was no one at the table. But about 20 feet from the table was that line, and I actually started to walk to the line to the back of it, where those 100 or so people were, thinking I had to go there to check in. And when I kind of walked through, I'm like, "Are you guys prepaid checking in?" They're like, "No, we're standby." All right, cool. So I walked back up, found another person in a yellow shirt. I'm like, I don't want to jump in front of these people and get yelled at. So they're like, "No, go right to that person." And I went right up to the table. They scanned my phone, gave us our wristbands, and then we just went and walked around to the vendors, and it was pretty cool. But the staff on hand, and I'll have to give Mr. Hagens and definitely Manuel, who was also there as far as running security, kudos for it was just organized. Period. It was just organized.
That's what I've heard, from just watching at their videos on YouTube from other conventions in the past, how well organized from even,
Very.
I want to say, and maybe you have seen, I'm sure you have, when we had the box set of Halloween that came out, what was it? What year was that? Enough years ago. They had the Blu-rays and all that. And they have
including the Rob Zombie ones, like 9 discs.
Yeah, all of them. And then, of course, the very first Halloween, there was the extras where Jamie Lee Curtis, where she's at the convention. I mean, this is before she even went in production for the last Halloween film.
Correct.
Where she was at a convention, I think it was Indianapolis, and even she was talking about how well organized it was, and and she's made it very clear over the years how organized and how she prefers to be everything. I guess you could say ADD or whatever, but
right. I think I saw that, if I'm not mistaken, that could have been where she was pretty much escorted and helped by Sean Clark. I could be wrong, but
you're right. That's right.
Sean Clark was there this weekend. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was wondering. In fact, unfortunately, I'm so busy, like most of us are. When you're working through the week, and every once in a while, when I'm finally laying down in bed, I'll look at Facebook for just a moment. I'm like, nah, I got to get to sleep, because if I, try to stay off social media, if not, I'll be up for hours. And I thought I seen something with Sean Clark where he had a mask that was signed. And speaking of which,
he's got a lot. He owns the original Poltergeist clown from the Tobe Hooper film. Hanging up on his wall, and he has the actual chainsaw from Texas Chainsaw 2 also on his wall. So he's pretty much got several Holy Grail pieces in his
Speaking of pieces, now obviously when you're at the convention and when you're obviously going to see that long line of people, by any chance did you feel this overwhelming of like, oh God, am I going to be, even though you pay for certain services, I guess you could say, did you start feeling like, oh my God, maybe I'm not going to be able to see someone, or am I going to get my autograph with someone, or did you ever have those things?
I had help prior to going to this conference. A friend of mine who's very close to the Friday the 13th franchise, Haley, had pretty much given me pointers on what to be prepared for. The only pointer I didn't prepare for, because it was so kind of frantic getting set up, was hitting the ATM before I got there. But I knew I was going to spend a lot of money, and I was fine with it, because this is my first one, so I wanted to make sure it counted.
Oh, well, see, that's good to know right there. The experience the next time, because, obviously, like myself, I never carry cash. It's always using, credit card, debit cards, or whatever. So that's
me either. So we found out the hard way, and this was about 45 minutes before we had our appointment time to do the photo op with Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney. I was about 10 people away from getting getting the signatures for Nick Castle. And then as soon as we got to the table, there was a sign that said, cash only. And I was like, Bailey told me this, and I just so forgot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad. Jen went out to the ATM. She stood in line for the ATM, like like a NASCAR race, people standing in line for beer. And the cash machine ran out of money. And she was frustrated. We decided to try back after lunch, after we did the photo op. The photo op went off great. Nick Castle was very approachable. He felt genuine. He didn't feel like he was just there to hang out, get paid, and leave. Always smiling. James G. Courtney was just a little, I think he was very happy to be there because I think this is so new to him. But then, of course, I'll talk about that conversation later when we actually went to his table. But the photo op kind of made things a little bit better because our 5-year-old was kind of getting a little antsy with the crowd and her being tired. But once we went and got some wonderful barbecue, we came back. Actually, I came back and just to tell you about the people that were there. And I've said this before, being at this MonsterCon or this HorrorCon, MM42, I felt safer there with total strangers wearing that stuff than I felt at a high school football game. And one of the things that I remember was I was in the elevator, and it was the second time I'd been in the elevator with this one lady. Her name's Missy. And I said, hey, you heading back over to the con? She goes, yeah, I'm going back over. I said, yeah, me too. I'm going to walk over. And she's like, well, why are you walking? I'm like, well, parking's awful. Jen's going to stay back and take a break with Paige. And then I'm just going to walk over. It's literally, it's 2 blocks. But to drive there takes about 20 minutes because of New Jersey. And then she's like, no, ride with me. And I'm thinking, in New Jersey or New York or wherever up north, and that's something you would hear more in the South where I'm from. I'm from Alabama. Up there, I was like, she's on the road with me. And it wasn't until about 10 minutes into our drive that I told her who I was and she told me who she was. And it was just cool. We friended each other on Facebook, which is totally strange, I know. But it just, everybody you met there, you felt like you've known them, which I thought was very cool. So I felt comfortable.
While you're on topic, I'm someone who's come to mind that I know on Facebook. I've been friends with him on Facebook for a while. I understand you met up with Jimmy Falco.
Yeah, so that was awesome. I started seeing Facebook posts kind of go through my feed about who was there and who was. I think it was like right when I got there, I bumped into a guy carrying a 98 Proto, kind of like the one you had on your raffle, and he didn't win either. Brandon, great friends with.
I'm sorry, Chris. I have to say so. Here, this shows how dedicated Chris has been to my YouTube channel and follow. He has been there since practically day one, and he has been involved with every raffle that's been going on. And every time I have to pull that ticket, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but because Chris has been going on, and there's others as well, I'm thinking, oh, I hope this is someone who's been that's earned this, because you get with there's people that's been doing this over and over again. And you just like, and then all of a sudden we'll use Chris as an example. I'm thinking in my head, son of it's not Chris, but I'm happy for the person who wins. But still, man,
I do feel bad for the person on I think Saturday that didn't call in. But I mean, if I win, great. If not, I'll just buy one from Chris Morgan, Ramby, Molpagano, or Falco. So yeah,
I was absolutely shocked. He to me. I mean, I did everything I could for a good month. I made it very clear. It was very similar to the last one. Granted, I let's just put it this way. After thinking about it, there's, to make a long story short, 12 hours was plenty of time. You've had a month to know, the day that I was going to do the drawing. But unfortunately, the individual's name that I pulled out, I did receive an email from him like a few days later, and oh my God, was he brokenhearted. But what could I do? I just can't change the rules all of a sudden. Could you imagine the floodgates coming down on that one if I did? But I never anticipated.
Feel free to email me his info. I might send him something.
Well, I tell you, I felt bad because during the time when he had emailed me, I'm getting clustered with all emails for different information that I'm sending out to others about some things that are completely irrelevant. And something else that I'm dealing with that has nothing to do with any of this that I have to do tomorrow, CAR issues. No, shut up, Scott. But yeah, I tell you, this last raffle, it was a nightmare. that last day, I was like, oh God.
Yeah, that mask. Whoever got that mask is loving it, because when I met Brandon, like I said, when you go to these cons, you're going to know the same people.
Yeah.
And then I ran into Brandon, had no clue he was, but he's standing there holding a 98 Proto, and I'm like, hey, nice mask. And then he said, yeah, man. And I can't remember how we got on the subject, but I think it was your show. I said, yeah, I bid in to win that mask with Scott. He's like, me too. I'm like, oh, small world. And I can't remember how we got into the conversation, but then he said something. He is now doing a podcast with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, I've been here 5 minutes. Small world. Because these are all my friends on Facebook, so it's like it's like family.
Yeah. But no, I mean I always have fun during the process, during the raffle, because I get to do more time on that particular mask where I could take photos and videos of it. And then, it's funny. I try my best to remember to tell everybody everything. Like, for an example, if I'm asleep at night and you're buying tickets, please don't feel bad that I haven't responded. Or if I'm at work, because I do everything here on my computer when it comes to that stuff. Away, I keep records of everything.
We're old. Remember, we're old.
But yeah, that particular week when I did the drawing and the guy didn't, get back with me, and let's put it this way, I'm an early bird, unfortunately, and on the weekends, if I'm up past 10 o'clock at night Eastern time, it's a miracle. I think it comes with age and the fact that I have to get up so early for work anyways. But there it was, getting close to midnight, and I still haven't heard from him. And even Nick, of course, was getting with me. If you heard from him yet? I mean, I even emailed him, after hours of drawing that ticket, and I haven't heard from him. But yeah, I felt bad. I don't, like I said, he did try email me, but I can't even find that email anymore. Who knows? It's probably somewhere. I'd have to search for it or whatever. But yeah, the guy who won it, he's actually on Instagram. He's not on Facebook. And he's been sharing a lot of photos of that Shape 78. He's just absolutely loves that mask. There's no doubt about it. And that is, if I had a nickel for every time someone asks me how, the accuracy of an H1, that particular mask, that 78 Shape, from Nag Masks, that's got to be an H1 of any H1s. I mean, I love my Castle 75K, but that 78, Nick really should be patting himself on. I mean, he even has the video proof of him sculpting that, and that's just like, it was meant to be an incredible mask. So if people are wanting a Nag mask and they want an H1, if there was one right now, I'd highly recommend it would be that Shape 78, because it is
gorgeous.
It is.
That is a grail piece by far.
Well, speaking of masks, you're obviously at this convention.
Yes.
And you met Nick Castle and James. Is it James Judd? I always get it mixed up. James.
I know you say Judge. Sounds like a law firm.
Exactly.
James Jude Courtney. In the Halloween community, I think we just started calling him JJC. So it's just easier to say JJC.
It does sound
great.
Well,
let me just plug. Where's my camera? That was what they give you, and of course on the flyer, my light's awful. He's basically the feature item, even though you have Meatloaf, Dolph Lundgren, Christina Ricci, a lot of people there. It was cool. Like I said, it was more than I expected. But it went better than I expected, because I really thought I was going to miss something, or just being in an environment where people were going to be more standoffish and kind of like not want to associate. But it was actually, it felt like I was back home in the South, but with a lot of people wearing black in cosplay.
Yeah.
Which were great. Cosplay were phenomenal. And they were at it from 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. You had guys walking around that were like 9 or 10 feet tall on these stilts, and it was just amazing.
That would take a lot of practice months in advance to get ready for that. But yes, I recall seeing on Facebook that one of the particular photos that you shared with the mask, didn't you have a signature on one of those?
I did actually. It's a Genesis 3.0 by Wicked Mass Productions, Chris Morgan, and it was actually this one that I, like several other people, walked around with a mask on a pedestal or wooden little mask holder. There was a lot of us there, so I figured that would be the one I would get signed. I had thought about getting it signed by James G. Courtney, but I'm kind of weird about having somebody from a 2018 movie sign an H1 piece, so I kind of held off.
Oh, so what you're saying is you had Mr. Nick Castle sign that?
I did, and I have pictures of him when he was signing it, and that's kind of goes back to my story with Jimmy Falco. My wife, who had retreated to the bedroom to take a rest, do some schoolwork, and let Paige kind of rest. That was about the same time when I got to the hotel, and I got a text from Jimmy. He's like, "Hey, where you at?" I'm like, "I'm coming back to the hotel." He's like, "Meet me at Embers," and Embers is like the bar lounge restaurant on the first floor of the main concierge area. And I looked at him. I said, "You can't miss me. I'm wearing an Auburn shirt or coat because that's my school, of course." And then I got to the front door, and I was behind CJ Graham because he was wearing Army gear. And I remember talking to him because he had an Army hat and an Army shirt. That was kind of cool. But for those that know, he's Jason in Part 4, I believe. But as soon as I hit the door, I got maybe 5 feet in the door to start to look around and pan around the restaurant. And all I heard from the back of the restaurant was some guy yelling "Baber" real loud. And I looked over, and Jimmy Falco. And I've never met him, didn't meet him from day one. Talked to him a few times, basically from Nick Malpigliano, just kind of knowing him through that common acquaintance. But I walked in, he's holding his awesome Tots rehaul of an H40 mask, which was gorgeous. And then
phenomenal work. You can't help it when he shares those photos. It's like his name's gonna be recognized. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I mean, it was like I've never met you, but I feel like I've known you. It's kind of weird in a way to say. But at his table were several other people that I knew from Facebook, and I knew from these user groups. Whether it's the Shape of Halloween, MMAT. I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. But there's a lot of Halloween groups that I look at. Killer Flicks, Lee McCoy runs a great site. And I just, the names, when Jimmy was introducing me to these people, he's like, "This is so-and-so." I'm like, "No, you." He goes, "This is so-and-so." I'm like, "Definitely know you." And it was just kind of a weird, it was like a family reunion, but you don't know any of them, but you did. That probably doesn't make any sense.
It does make a lot of sense. I mean, granted, I wasn't in your shoes, but just from you sharing this, I feel like if I was there, yeah, it's like wow, it's finally nice to meet, or excuse me, it's finally nice to meet you, but yet I feel like I've known you forever. Wow.
Oh, and it was just from even when you go into the vendors, the minute, like in the morning, we went to the vendor. My doll baby Paige was wearing a shirt Jen had made her for a Pennywise from the 2017 film. And the minute she walked in there was a t-shirt company. They're actually from Virginia, called Big Lick Screen Printing. And there was a picture of Beetlejuice up on the wall. And Paige is like, "I want Beetlejuice." So they made her a shirt. They loved the fact that she wanted to wear it then. They added her to their website. You go around the corner from them, and there's this guy that I saw his face, pretty tall dude. And I looked at his face, and I'm like, "You look familiar." Of course, everybody at this point, everybody's looking familiar. And then he makes these custom acrylic pumpkins with designs. You get the shape on the blind, or H4, or other movies, Shining. They have that.
Oh.
And his face looked familiar. And then when he handed me his card, I'm like, "Oh, you're the guy that keeps popping up on my recommended friend feed. You're Ian Fetterman. I know you because your picture was with Jamie Lee Curtis." He's like, "Yeah, that's me." So met him, friended. I'm buying one of his pumpkins for sure. But it's like everywhere I turned, there was so much irony and, not deja vu, but it was just too ironic. Everybody I talked to, it was like I was already a part of that circle in a way. I know it sounds weird. I'm not a stalker, but I do like the fact that everybody you talked to knew somebody that I knew. So it was cool.
It seems, from my just experience, as yours as well, I would imagine, from Facebook, there's a lot of people that I'm noticing that's from the East Coast.
Yes.
From New York to anywhere. I guess they were in New England and Whoops. So that vibe gives me like that's like one of the most popular conventions to go to, you know. And one of these days, I may actually make it out there, but you know, it just means I'd have to take some time off to do this. But I've always, well, I don't want to make excuses, but I need to make a, you know, maybe plan like 6 months ahead of time to go to that convention because it seems like I would get an opportunity. I probably feel more excited to bump into people from just socializing on Facebook or Instagram. Granted, it'd be cool to get signatures or whatnot, but just that experience alone had to have been something else, just to bump into all those people.
It was everybody, like I said, everybody from the entire time that we're there. Given we were only there Saturday, I've been told that if you really want to go on a day where it's not as congested, would be to go on a Friday or a Sunday. They have one coming up in August back in Cherry Hill. I will not be going to that one because they're doing another one in October, which is going to be in Maryland at Hunt Valley, I believe. But it's Monster Mania 44. Monster Mania 43 is going to be in Cherry Hill. I said, well, we'll try something new. But it's the same group that runs it, the Hagens. And like I said, it was just from my first experience, I really thought I was going to be lost. But I tell you, the minute we hit the door, I had somebody in the yellow shirt walk up and say, "What can I do to help you?" I'm like, "Oh, I felt important." But that was just the mentality of the people that were working the event and the staff. And it was just and the celebrities, and none of it felt fake. When I met James D. Courtney, I had to just sit. You probably thought I was a little bit weird because most people do the autograph. If you see that picture of me kind of sitting next to him, he's actually, you'll see in a minute. But I guess when you open your mouth. But I thought he probably took it weird that I kind of crouched down next to him. And I just asked him, I said, "Hey, man, last year on my birthday, June 1st, which is the same birthday as Daniel Harris."
I'm June 6th.
Yeah, Gemini's. My wife thinks we're all crazy. So I sat next to him and I said, "Hey, listen, I don't know if somebody's pretending to be you, but I got this happy birthday last year around June time frame. Was that you?" He's like, "Yeah, that was me." I'm like, "Wow." He's like, "Yeah, man, I manage my own Facebook page." I'm like, "That's pretty awesome." And I'm like, "Cool." And then I said something to the effect of, "I talked to your friend, you know, that was on the show with you, Marion Singh, a lot on Facebook. She's a great person. Wouldn't want to make her mad because she could probably kick my butt 10 days from Sunday. But super, super awesome people. Everybody that I've talked to or had any kind of dealing with this whole issue or the MonsterCon or even Courtney or Castle, it's like they want to talk to you. And then when I did the photo op with my wife and Paige with Castle and Courtney together, they shook our hands when we walked up. They were both smiling when we walked up. It wasn't like they were labored or tired, because I know Nick's been doing this stuff for years. And for him to be still that excited about what he does and to see Courtney kind of be like new at this, they both came off as genuine. And that's what made me feel like this was worth coming to, because I got to meet my heroes. I saw Halloween in 1978 as a 7-year-old, which I do have a silly story about Sandy Johnson if you want to hear it. But it just felt great. And that's why I'm going to go back.
Yeah, it's one of my bucket lists is to sit down, just to not to bother him nuts, just to simply thank Nick Castle for being a big part of my life, I guess you could say. You know, he's always been my personal love Dick Warlock to death. Love that man.
He's amazing. Yeah.
But Nick Castle, just because of that experience as an 8-year-old when I first seen Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who I was looking at, but as time went by, as I got a little bit older and more mature, I was like, to me, he was the ultimate.
Did you watch it in a theater or a drive-in with that one speaker?
The funny thing of it is, the town that I live in here in Ohio, it's actually more known address is Dayton, Ohio, but I don't actually live in Dayton, Ohio. It's called Huber Heights, and about 3 miles, if that, south of me on the main drag that I live off of. It's called basically Old Troy Pike. And there was a movie theater back in the day. It was kind of popular. It was called the oh God, now I can't even think of the name, but it'll come to me in a minute. But ironically, like I said, 2 or 3 Flicker Palace. There we go. It was the first time I seen it. Well, Halloween, and then shortly thereafter, what was it? No, 2 years later, I seen obviously Friday the 13th and that same movie
Yeah.
theater. So now I drive by, it breaks my heart because that theater is gone.
Yeah.
It's a Dollar General now. So it's like, but that's where I seen Halloween about 2 miles down the road.
Yeah, drive-in theater. I don't think I slept for about 4 days, but it was that movie. And then when I saw it again in '81 on a military base, I was a kid. It was Halloween 2, Halloween 2 in '81. I snuck in and watched it from the back. And that was probably what restarted it. And that's when I got to the point where I could finally buy the book. And I wish I had that book now because that thing's worth a lot. But I had that book at one point, the original Halloween movie and the Halloween 2 book.
You know, it's with today's technology, I wonder if it's available like on, whatever you call it. Because I'd really like to read that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one I had, I'd never forget it because it was like a little kid in a ghost costume wearing a pumpkin head. Mm-hmm. And I remember owning that back in the early 80s. And I wish I had kept it. I'd probably be a lot richer than I am now. But then again, I don't like to sell stuff. So it would just be in my.
It's like I wish I was my grandmother. She knew something about Star Wars.
Yeah.
She told my mother, you better make sure he doesn't lose that.
Well, back in the day, we didn't get presents thinking we need to save boxes. But if I could go back and redo it, I'd save every box possible.
Speaking of gifts, I'm slowly open this up because I do not want to use scissors with this. So, let me think. What else was it? What else was it you experienced?
The Sandy Johnson story was probably a highlight and a low light at the same time.
Before you get into that, as you're saying, I'm trying to think of something you did bring up. You know what? Why don't you go ahead and share that story with us? I mean, please do.
Well, by the time they were getting everything ready for the dinner meal, they had set the lobby up at the hotel for like this big buffet. Reasonable prices, great food. I noticed Sandy didn't have anybody at her table. And then the gentleman next to her who gave us his business card because he does Santa in the holidays. My daughter Paige was there at this time, and she was tickled to death that she got to go meet Santa again. But then when I was finally able to talk to Sandy, the only thing I could think of, this is where I got really nervous. I was never nervous with Nick, surprisingly. I don't know why. I was never nervous with James, but when I talked to Sandy, I was nervous. And the only thing I could say was, and I said it so fast, she probably didn't understand it. I just said, ma'am, I just want you to know you're the first person I saw naked. Would you sign this? And she just, she clapped her hands, laughing. I guess that was her husband that was with her. He clapped his. They were both laughing. At this time, Jen was walking up behind me, and she goes, "What'd you say?" I said, I just told her that I saw her. She was the first person I saw naked. And Jen was like, well, that was before I was born, so I don't care.
Now, since you were obviously the one that experienced this, you have to let everybody know, and just in case they're not quite sure who you're referring to.
With Sandy.
Yes.
Sandy Johnson. And I even told her before we left, I said, thank you very much for coming out here because she had disappeared. She played Judith Myers in the original Halloween movie. Mm-hmm. They had her tombstone all over this MonsterCon they were selling. And it was that I was more nervous with her, somebody that played barely a couple of minutes in the movie. And we all know it was a couple of minutes because of her boyfriend. Yeah. And by the time I finished saying what I said to her, I'm like, why did I say that? But she didn't mind. She laughed. We took a picture. And she could have been more genuine as well. She was just happy to be here. And I just told her, thank you for, I didn't say come out of hiding, but I said, thank you for coming back to us for the most part.
Well, that is you telling that story. Just, I feel like I could relate to it so much from so many of my own personal memories of saying certain things back in the day. And I just really, I know so many fans can appreciate it, but it just sounds so perfect. Thanks.
Well, as a boy, you never forget the first boob. I'll just leave it clean as that.
It's funny. There's that, and I think of Animal House.
Oh, yeah.
Evolution.
My mom would let me watch Animal House. But she took me to see Halloween.
Okay, well, real quick, obviously, before I really look, the newspaper that you have around this, is that just protected?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now this is something that. Okay, set this down. Do I have it? Yes, I do. So this is obviously. This is from James.
Yes.
Wow, that is awesome.
If you look at the picture on my Facebook where I'm stalking him because I decided to crouch down. That's the picture he has in front of him. He's getting ready to sign. So I said, hey, if you wouldn't mind, make this out to my good friend Scott.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. That is an incredible photo.
It is. It was the best one he had to select from.
Chris, thank you so much. And James, if you're watching this, thank you so much. That is really cool. I'm this is honestly the very first time I have seen this photo image.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how popular it is. And I don't care. I'm glad I'm seeing this for the very first time. That is so cool.
All the other photos they had were the ones we've already seen. I had never seen that photo, and I figured that would be better in wherever you decided to put it up.
I'm kind of jealous how it was taken, honestly. It's a great photo. That is so cool. Thank you. Well, obviously, what I have to do is put it like in a frame. You know what I mean? Like this is like an 8x10, but one that's a little bit bigger because I want to keep that protective sleeve on it.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool.
Oh yeah, I mean he had good stuff. Like with Nick, you probably can't see it because of the glare, but these were some options you could pick. So I went to a vendor that was in the vendor area.
I can't turn my camera around because it's a webcam, but that it's right there. Not your signature, but that poster print.
Oh yeah, yes. So there was a vendor area that sold these with a protective cover. They had hundreds, $5 a piece to include the protective cover. So that's what Nick signed. And of course, when I got to James, they had this one that I bought as well for $5. I mean, really, the vendors were reasonably priced. So I was very shocked. I would have paid more. I would have paid more than $5 for this and a sleeve. When I got pictures made with Nick Castle, James Dude, just the sleeve alone cost $5 to protect the picture. And of course, we went back for Danielle, which she was tremendous. Yay, Danielle. But yeah.
I know she's not tall, but how tall would you say she is when you're standing next to her?
I'm 6'2". She's probably 5'2".
Wow.
Like my mom. Little bit thing. And she just had a baby in October. She looked great.
How old is she now? My son had the biggest crush on her.
She's 6 years younger than I am, so she's 40.
Oh, dude, she's 40 something already?
Yep, she'll be 42 on June 1st. I'll be 48 on June 1st.
Okay, so you have June 1st. Okay, so myself, like I said, June 6th is obviously Damien's birthday. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Also, Robert England's birthday.
Which I think he will be at one of the next two Monster Mania events. They got a great setup coming. I know they got him, Daniel will be back at that one. I can't remember which one of the two because it's so early out between the next Monster Manias, whether it's Cherry Hill or Maryland. Yeah, it's just they've got guests already signing up, and it's phenomenal. Well, especially when you got Candyman was there. That was great.
Oh, Todd. He's got two first names, or something. It'll come to me later. Everyone. See, Chris was referred to his age. I'm referring to my age. It's true. As you get older, you forget. What were we talking about? No.
Back pills.
It won't stay, I bet. No, that's going to fall. Well, shoot. Trying to figure out how to put this for right now because I don't want to. Oh, I'll figure it out. Just try to. I can't thank you enough, Chris. This is just, let me try to get that glare. That is just amazing. I am so glad. I really am. Like I said, let's say it's been shared on Google, the image alone, but I'm glad this is the first time I'm seeing this. This is so cool.
You definitely need to get yourself out there to the Monster Mania or whatever con you can get to. We had about 2 weeks planning to prepare for ours. So hotels, you got to get your hotel first because we ended up staying at a Holiday Inn about 2 blocks away. But it's definitely worth going to if you've never been to one. And like I said, I went there. I was a kid in a candy store.
I figured you would have been. Even if you have been to a convention before or haven't, I mean, it's quite obvious we would all feel the same way, Eh, especially your first time. I mean, dear Lord, it's been ages. I mean, we're talking ages since I've been to a convention like this. I was very young when I went to one of those, but to me, I haven't even been to one because it's been that long. And speaking of which, after you had an opportunity to meet all of these great people and all that, did you get much of a chance to walk around to see it? You know, we were talking about that these were like $5 and you'd pay more, but is there anything there particular that you've seen that you know that you probably will never forget other than meeting Nick and James and Daniel and God Sandy?
They had, let's just say, if I won this Powerball tomorrow, I would definitely go clean house because I didn't see any vendor that had anything that was substandard. I mean, you had vendors that had like a Kiss table. It was just all Kiss.
Mhm.
You had a section in that corner that sold masks, and a lot of people were buying the masks that were going to get them autographed. And then, of course, they had this one area that had a lot of, people thought Beetlejuice was still popular. I'm still waiting for Beetlejuice too. But they had Beetlejuice everywhere, stuffed animals. I mean, anything you could think of, they sold it, and it was reasonable. So we bought a lot of stuff.
Is it all licensed material, or is it just independent art?
Most of it was. There's a lot of those little mini figurines. I forget what they're called. I have the Michael Myers one in downstairs. But the one where there's like 1,000. I'll kick myself later for not remembering it. But the little figurines that are numbered 001, 098.
Yeah.
They sell like every Barnes and Noble. But I would say the majority of it definitely is licensed. They had that there. They had the 13th there. They had Freddy Krueger there. They had Leatherface. They had those there. Yeah. Actually, there was one table. That's all they had. Were is that a 112 or 1/6? I'm not sure.
This is the 1/6. In fact, I went ahead and pre-ordered the Jamie Lee Curtis. Won't be available till June, but we never had.
Yeah, they had those. Yeah, they had the Hellraiser characters. Oh, and there was an actual cosplay Cenobite that looked just like the movie, and that was kind of creepy.
Huh. I wonder, speaking of which, being the East Coast, are you familiar with Mike Golden? Mike's Horror Corner?
No. Tell me.
Mike Golden, he's on Facebook. He's actually on Instagram more now than ever, I'd say. He has his own YouTube channel, but he's just like a lot of people. They're favoring Instagram more. I think it's because it's more. I want to stay positive on everything here, but
I'm not ignoring you. I'm writing this name down.
Yeah, Mike Porter. He's like I said, he's on YouTube. Real nice guy. He has his band. Very talented musician, singer, and just loves the horror conventions and all that. Big, Halloween fan. I'm telling you, he's somebody who I'm pretty sure if he wasn't there, it's because he was possibly busy with his music, but I bet he was there because he lives in New York.
Well, that was cool about seeing Jimmy Falco was because he's a musician as well, and he came out and just all these people that I never knew and never met, and I just saw them in groups. And I think I kind of got maybe a little, what do you call it, starstruck right after Saturday happened, or when we got back to the hotel, I'm like texting Dave McRae. I'm like, you ain't gonna believe what happened. And he's probably like, dude, I don't care. Because it was because of Dave McRae that I wanted to go because I followed his videos when he went to the Halloween 40th anniversary convention, which I kick myself in the butt every day now for not going, because if you look at those lines, they're reasonable. If you look at the line for Meatloaf, who was at this convention, it was like a half a mile long.
Wow.
So it was just watching the Dave McRae kind of walk through. And then, of course, talking to my friend Haley, who lives there in Philadelphia, that said, you know what? I definitely need to go to one of these. So sorry, Dave, for blowing up your phone at 10:30.
Yeah, I think like for around here, being in the Midwest, we've got Cincinnati, which is actually this weekend. And unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to make it because of plans that I made months back, and ironically there's something else I have to do tomorrow instead. Car issues. But anyways, with Cincinnati, with Indianapolis has always been kind of popular for a convention, and I live about an hour and a half away from Indianapolis, and there's Lexington or Louisville, one of the two, which is obviously in Kentucky. And I feel like if there's any convention that I need to try to go to other than out west, which I'd love to get out there. It's probably the one that you went to, obviously, what, last weekend last weekend. The one in I feel like that's the one I need to get, make plans, think about like 6 months ahead. That way I can, vacation or
Dave, for the Facebook link for Monster Mania, I think it was yesterday, he had sent out a message saying all hotel rooms at Crown Plaza, I think it was Crown Plaza, were sold out. So if you go to a Monster Mania, to the bigger one like these, you're probably better off getting your hotel while you're there previously.
Yeah. Sadly, Cincinnati is just under an hour for me. I wouldn't even need a hotel room. And
yeah.
Well, one of these days I'll get to it. I just, I don't know. This year alone, year and a half, I've just been so busy with stuff. It's just hard to make plans to do certain things like that, but that's okay. If I plan on sticking around on this side of the dirt for a long period of time, I'll make it eventually.
We'll go. I'll pick you up. I got a van.
You got a van? Well, hell,
yep.
I'll put the Scooby snack.
Tell Mr. Randy to go too.
Oh, yes. God, yeah, he lives. Well, he's been in my house just that one time when we were doing a helping out Chris on that. Yep. Super nice guy. Can't say, enough nice things about him. Just a super nice guy. Very talented artist, no doubt about it.
I got a lot of his pieces.
Gosh, was there anything? Because I want to make sure that, when we're done here, there wasn't like something that you forgot to share with all of us. Because I always feel like whenever I'm done, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to say this.
No, just know when you go to one of these events, especially when you're, I forgot what Haley coined a term for me, but as far as being a newbie, but it's very welcoming. Even when people bumped into you, and you figure New Jersey is kind of like New York. People bump into you, they don't care, or or any place, as I call it, any place that doesn't serve sweet tea, I'm going to be suspect. But everybody's just welcoming and warm, and especially the kids. Kids were running all over the place, and you had little 6-year-old and Freddy gear, Jason gear, Michael Myers gear, and it was just I don't know. There's a video that came out in the 90s, and the lead singer passed away shortly after it came out. But there was that video with that girl in the bumblebee costume, and then when she finally found the colony of the other bees, and she went crazy. That's kind of how I felt after being inside that crazy Monster Mania place.
Was it Blind Eye Cherry? Not Blind Eye Cherry. Melon, something melon.
Blind Melon. Yeah, it was that girl. So when I walked in the doors and just what I saw, I was like, I'm home. But even my wife loved it. So
yeah, it's funny, even though this is kind of off subject, I guess you could say, but related. For me, it is. I always fear that if I met my hero, then it would be disappointing. In other words, if I was at a convention where it was all music related, like they have every year for musicians, Jimmy, if you're watching this, you may know exactly what I'm talking about, where it's more like about their instrument, their guitars. But this particular convention is mainly like guitars. And I always feared that if I met Eddie Van Halen, that I would be, I first of all, I probably wouldn't be able to speak a full sentence. I'd be that nervous around him. But yeah, that's one thing I'd fear about going to a convention, meeting someone that I've always wanted to, like say Nick Castle or whatever. Even though you've made it very clear, and I've heard it from others, that he's a very pleasant individual, very welcoming, and makes it easier for you from what it sounds like. I just
sure
I would be a complete like and that's that I'd probably be best to just keep, like say I was saying Eddie Van Halen, probably never go see him in a convention, because I'd probably leave later on with a broken heart.
I don't know. I mean, of course, my horror hero, and of course he is my hero, because I mean, I've never had any kind of involvement with anything other than Halloween for this long, 41 years. But your Eddie Van Halen is actually my David Gilmour, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And I doubt I'll meet him anytime soon.
Oh, David Gill. I mean, I think it's one thing I love about the music. Well, I don't want to say that. As I've gotten older, I can remember being a teenager, I was a little bit more defensive about my idol. But as I've gotten older, I appreciate so many other artists. I think it's because I'm going to go ahead and say it. Back in that day, those were musicians. Those were individuals that actually knew how to play, write, perform music. Today,
yeah, that was me in the 80s. I was a huge Duran Duran fan, and they played their own instruments. Hello?
And it's funny, back in the day, the guys would probably make fun of them. You see them perform live now. Whoa, they're talented as hell. Very talented band.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I can't. There are most bands. Yeah, it's like I said, I have more appreciation for. It's funny, like back in the 90s, I was kind of like, but today I miss the hell out of the 90s when it comes to music.
Yeah. Well, it'd be a bad thing. We started losing, musicians. I think it was we lost Michael Hutchence. That was huge. And then of course, losing, Soundgarden and even in the Alice in Chains. I mean, all these bands they're kind of, unfortunately they're leaving us too soon.
Yeah. Number at 20, the age of 27 seems to be a big one too.
Amy Winehouse. Jimi Hendrix.
Kurt Cobain.
27. There's a book. Was it Gene Simmons that wrote that book, 27, I believe?
I'm not positive, but
I can't remember. Somebody wrote a book called 27. I think it's 27. I could be wrong.
Kurt Cobain, when that day, was it April 5th, 1994? Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I was pretty brokenhearted about that one because Nirvana came in and I fell in love with that band big time when they came in, and it was just something that I don't know, it was just something kind of new to us, but I appreciated it because it was like I was getting kind of strung out a little bit on the hair bands. Now I could enjoy it, but I was just getting kind of like they're all starting to look and sound the same. Like I said, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
But Nirvana,
I never bought a Winger album, never bought a Warrant album, never bought a Poison album. I may have bought a Motley Crue album, but it was okay to buy Motley Crue pre-91. But even today's music, I mean, we lost Prince, but I think we have Bruno Mars, which is kind of a good, stand-in. Because not a huge fan of Bruno Mars, never bought any of his music, but when I see him on TV, that guy is pretty awesome.
Okay, for an example, I'm guilty at this. Let's say 5 years ago, I guess is a good number. I was like Lady Gaga. Yeah. But now, that woman is a talented musician. I mean, she's got a great voice. And
yeah, she's when she did, and this is kind of Christmas related. When she did that duet album with Tony Bennett, I bought it, and it was good. Mm-hmm. And then I saw a video where she performed with the Pet Shop Boys. They received a BBC award, and she was part of that montage of music they did. And it was her, and then the lead singer for the Killers, I believe. I forget his name, but my wife knows because she's 12 years younger than I am. But yeah, Lady Gaga, she'll be in the Rock Hall of Fame, just like Stevie Nicks. Twice.
She's definitely a lot. Once I took the time, and I guess it was just the image of her that I was kind of like, yeah, this ain't for me. But then,
well, the meat dresses. Yeah, wearing the meat dresses kind of threw me off.
Yeah, but today it's like, you know what? She's got a great voice. I mean, I've seen in other words, it's that seeing her perform live, like whatever it was on TV or something. I'm like, wow, she's actually pretty good. She's the
new one. Yeah, she's the new one in Madonna.
Yeah, but that I could say if there was one band today, rock wise, that I've enjoyed since the beginning, and I know it's related to Nirvana, obviously, is the Foo Fighters. There's just those guys I've enjoyed since they've Dave Grohl when he's kind of grown into what it was. But
I'd love to go to a party with the Foo Fighters Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Will Ferrell, just to see him and Chad argue back and forth about who's the better drummer. But they're just genuine bands. Who doesn't love Flea? Come on.
Oh God, that man can play the bass like there's no tomorrow.
Yep.
Geddy Lee. There we go. Oh God, we can get in a rush. We're this sounds about right. We're going from the horror to the Michael Myers appreciation. I mean, why the hell not? You know, because those guys love music. I mean, come on. We go to John Carpenter with let's face it, Halloween would, I don't want to use the word suck, but Halloween would not be Halloween without John Carpenter's, composure of writing, the simple little soundtrack. So
yeah, I think forget which video it was. It might have been the one Sean Clark produced when they were doing that 25th anniversary, but they had went back and said they tested that movie without music, and people were like, "Doesn't work. It's not working for me." And then when he added his music, like he was already doing everything else. How do you come out with a video or music in that weird of a up tempo with 5/4 time, and it just 20 years later it's everybody's ringtone?
It's simple. It's like the Beatles. They make it simple. Make it simple. Simple, and people love it's. It's just so it's more comforting, and you can relate to it.
Yeah, I would say it's the most popular theme. Of course, people that say Jaws theme is the most noticeable. It could go either way, Jaws or Halloween or even Exorcist, which I think is the scariest movie ever made.
I think, Jaws is so simple for us to, for anybody that could be on a keyboard, go do-do, do-do.
Yeah.
Jaws, I seen that drive-in. That scared the hell out of me. Oh, dear Lord.
Jimmy Buffett does it in his concerts. Not as scary.
The fins to left.
Fins, yeah. It's not too scary with Jimmy
Buffett. It started down in Cincinnati. Get it? The fins.
I believe it.
The fins to the left. Sorry. Jimmy Buffett joke. But since we're on YouTube right now, excuse me, I can't edit out that cough. Darn it. But since we're on YouTube now, it has to be mentioned because it's been talked about so much here lately since it's been on the documentary on HBO. We have to bring it up, right? Leaving Neverland, or was it Neverland Leaving? Whatever it is with the Michael Jackson thing. Have you?
Yes. Oh yeah. With the exception of Wednesday when Facebook crashed, I've seen my fair share of Michael Jackson memes. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Stations are pulling his music. It's just his legacy is heavily tarnished.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, here we are on YouTube. It's like, do I say I'm not? Yeah. I think the one thing that I've seen the majority of people say that obviously so many can agree, even watch the documentary, the parents themselves, are ashamed of themselves and we end up taking it to the graves. But shame on the parents, whether it's
because we knew about this in 1993 when he was televised and he did his public apology on TV, and we all like, no, you're guilty. But then we kind of forgot about it when he did the Super Bowl halftime show in like '99. Mm-hmm. So it was like, we just kind of sweep it under a rug.
Yeah.
Hollywood's well known for that. They kind of pick and choose who they want to, take to the stake.
This has definitely been the era of, you have the Weinsteins. I mean, all of a sudden we're learning more. This is like the year of the pedophiles, or the past 5 years of the pedophiles that we're hearing. I mean, the church, everything else. It's like, I'm not surprised, but with the Michael Jackson thing, I guess there was a part of me for so many years that it was hard for me to believe, or I didn't want to believe it. And obviously there's so many people that are skeptical about it. Those two individuals are just trying to get some money off of it or whatnot. But the details of the stories, I mean, they've had so much stuff to back them up. I don't know.
I mean, it's they pay people to be quiet, and I guess they want to be quiet for 20 years, and they're like, I want to tell my story now.
Yeah.
But in defense, which I'm not saying I have a defense for Michael. I mean, he's dead. I mean,
I don't want to believe it, and it's like anything else. If out of the two there was one guy, he still looks like he's just extremely depressed about it all, and But I don't know, I'm just trying to find ways to say things without digging into it too deep because honestly, if this is were to be true, we'll end up more individuals will end up popping out, telling more of their
I think
story.
it always worried me about Corey Feldman's infatuation with Michael because he kind of mimicked him and turned into Michael for a while with the glove and the hair and all that. But I think he was on an interview. I could be wrong. I want to say I saw it Monday or Tuesday. And he said that was not the Michael he knew.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he does have people that are speaking for him. But then again, you also have a lot of people that are protecting a figure as big as him. I mean, you know, he's still the owner of the best-selling record of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, Corey. I mean, it's funny. I've seen people put words into Corey's mouth here lately because I did see that with Corey saying that like you said, this is not the Michael that I knew. As
Yeah.
he even stated, you know, I can't defend him, but this is not what I experienced with Michael. Just like, oh, what's his name? You know, from Home Alone. I can't. I mean, he's
Macaulay.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin. I mean, he's
different. Yeah, that was the spin the night. Yeah, that whole was weird.
I mean,
that's parents though. You got to talk to the parents.
Yeah, I mean, there's been other people that made it very clear. I mean, it's not like Michael would if he was involved with these children, like it makes sense where he's not going to get involved every single one of them. I don't know. I'm getting sick just thinking about it, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm hoping that by this time next year we hear less of things like this because it is sickening. I mean, I'm sorry, but today's world is yeah. I'd rather go to a convention like you just experienced this past weekend and be in a more safer environment where you have adults and children just dressing up as their heroes or the horror icons, and you're just like you said, you felt more safe around them than you did at a high school football game.
I got total strangers giving me rides. Everybody you run into, they're just willing to help or either give you advice, point you in the right direction. They're not there to rip you off. Like talking to Ian. I talked to Ian, and of course, that was when I learned carry cash. Not everybody takes card. I said, hey, I want this pumpkin. He's like, all right, cool, cash. I'm like, oh, let me go to the ATM. Go to the ATM. ATM's empty. Crap. But I got his card, which I'm glad. So, and then I found him on Facebook. And then, so I mean, it all worked out. So it's just because you don't, you're not familiar with it, you're gonna fit in rather quickly. So if I can do it, anybody can do it because I'm old.
Yeah. That's the thing that fears me is I find myself being wanting to do less with crowds compared to what I used to. But I'm good with crowds. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like there's so many rumors and speculations, but I've been dealing with this for so many years about, Van Halen, with Michael Anthony and coming back to, I'm like, whatever, I'll see it.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things. When I see it, that's when I believe it. But even at this point, it's like, I've been to 14 Van Halen concerts in my life. Yes, 14. If I don't go to number 15, it's because I don't want to deal with the crowds.
All right, so aside from Van Halen, what was the best concert you went to?
Outside of Van Halen, believe it or not, was an anniversary of, a band of, I don't know why I'm saying it to you, like Yes. Remember Yes? They had an anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There was right here where I live, they had the Nutter Center. And they had all members of Yes was there. I mean, from the original, and it was an amazing performance. Absolutely amazing. It was at the Round. That was probably outside of Van Halen, one of my favorite concerts other than seeing Rush. That was amazing.
Yeah, I'll catch a lot of flack for this, but Neil Peart, definitely in the top 3 best drummers of all time, I think. And don't laugh, I even think Stuart Copeland's one of the best drummers in the history of music. So, yeah, Neil Peart's up there.
Oh,
he's up there.
And I respect the fact that how he's even stated that, because he's retired now. And as he says, he just doesn't feel like he could perform like he used to. And I'm thinking to myself, here I am at a certain age right now. I know I can't do things as quick or when I did 20 years ago. So yeah, he was a master. We all know Neil Peart was at the drums, so I can understand that. And you know,
Yep.
he wants to retire. All power to him. Believe it or not, 38 Special. I mean, they were amazing. They opened up, or no, Bon Jovi opened up for 38 Special. This was right when they did this Slippery When Wet. So,
Oh yeah, my junior year, good times.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Just stonewashed jeans. Oh, I'll bring him back.
But I've never had an opportunity to see Pink Floyd.
Saw him in your state for the first time. I was stationed briefly at Fort Ben Harrison in '94. Tickets back then were about 140, which by today's standards would probably be about 350. I don't know. It's not the greatest seats. I was in the nosebleeds. Saw him in Columbus at Ohio State Stadium at the Horseshoe. And I never forget, by the time I got to my seat, they were already into Learning to Fly, which is like their second song.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just trying to get to my seat. And I'll never forget, and this was 25 years ago, there was a cop there, and there's people blocking the aisle, and all these people were smoking marijuana. And I'll never forget the cop saying, if you're going to smoke that, do it in your seat. You're blocking this guy's path to his seat. And I'm like, wow, awesome. Yeah, they just said, like, because you're not going to stop it. You're not going to stop that at a Pink Floyd concert. Just don't block it.
The first time I ever smelled pot was at a concert.
Yeah.
Oh God. You know, it's funny. Now that I think about it, you seen Pink Floyd at the Horseshoe in Columbus. That's a rare occasion because they very seldom have any other than the State Buckeyes around here. Well,
it was so good. I turned around. It was such a good show that I turned around 2 weeks later and saw him in Indianapolis at
That sounds like you and Van Halen back in the day. I'd go see him in Cleveland, and I'd go down and see him in Cincinnati a week later.
Yeah, it was at the Hoosier Dome, and I will never forget because my first sergeant knew I was going to see Pink Floyd. He said, I'm drug testing you tomorrow, so have fun. So I'll never forget I had like 8 beer cups because I was the only person in that concert that was not smoking something.
Oh God. My parents, I was so thankful and happy for them. My mom is a huge Eagles fan, and she was able to see the Eagles perform live the last year before the year that Glenn Fry passed away. So she never had a chance to see the Eagles, but she did. And then sadly, shortly thereafter, Glenn Fry passed away. So I would have loved to see them.
Yeah. What was the loudest concert you ever went to? Loudest, not greatest, but loudest.
Loudest, believe it or not, and now that I think about it, it was they always say Kiss for many, many years was the loudest. And it's funny because where I live, there was a little tiny place. It's closed now. It was called Hare Arena, and Kiss would come there quite a bit. And people around here say, God, it was so loud. Yeah. I had seen quite a few concerts at this little place, Hare Arena, and I seen Judas Priest there. That was loud. This was during when they had Turbo Lover, I think, back in the 80s. That was really loud. So that's the loudest I could definitely say. You?
Fix my seat. 2015. And don't laugh. Believe it or not, it wasn't Amy Grant. In 2015, March, John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, here in Virginia. It was Fleetwood Mac, and I still have hearing damage from that concert. Yeah, it was loud. Believe it or not.
Yeah. I would have loved to see, especially because I know Lindsey Buckingham's not with them now. So obviously,
he had a heart attack. He had to have some triple bypass surgery or stents put in. Yeah, and they messed up his vocal cords when they did the procedure. So he's in bad shape. Hopefully, he's recovering.
That is one underrated guitarist right there, and you've seen him live, so you know what I'm talking about.
He's a banjo player. He plays it well.
Wow. Yeah, I would have loved to see them. No doubt about that. Wow. It was
just beautiful. She always will be.
maybe we should get back on topic because now we've got these
Sure.
kids going. We're talking about
Yeah, no.
100 years ago. It's my
Who are
chance.
these two?
And not to mention, I didn't even bring this up until I thought about it right now because I don't think about it hardly because I just started it. Chris was I started that Patreon. I was debating on doing that for the longest time, and Chris signed up right away. So yeah, Chris and I could talk whatever we want to because he's one of my two patrons. So yeah, I know I've got to do more in order for it to be successful. But if it's not, oh well. I'm not going to sit around.
I have 5 that I'll support. It's just because it's because of their channels. I don't even need cable, and honestly, I'm about to get rid of cable as soon as I can figure out how to get rid of cable and keep Verizon internet. But whether it's your channel, we watched a movie with Jay and Mike, Lee McCoy, and of course Dave McRae over at Many Things at Dave McRae. That stuff. I mean, there's enough coming out to where that's the TV I can watch. And if I want to watch local news, I'll watch local news. I will not put it on Fox or CNN because after 30 years in the Army, I've seen enough. I don't want to hear about it.
I understand.
And I'm sick of whether you like or hate Trump. I'm just sick of hearing about it.
Yeah.
So I'm all about watching just horror movies. It's sad when you have to resort to horror movies to feel better about yourself, and that's what I do.
I understand. It's funny. When I first bought this house, I just went directly with broadband internet because I didn't care to have cable. And then our cable provider was bought by, in other words, we had Time Warner Cable here, and then it was bought by Spectrum. And then Spectrum, their download and upload speeds were higher. So, of course, I talked to them on the phone, and basically it was like $35 more a month. I basically got basic cable, but I never watch it. Because they boosted up my internet speeds. I never watch it. Like I actually It's funny if I watch YouTube. It's on my. I very seldom. I'm one of the oddballs. I very seldom watch it on my phone or my computer. Because I've got an Apple TV. It's not that I'm an Apple fanboy, but I have pretty much my ecosystem is all Apple here. That's what it works for me. But yeah, I watch YouTube on my Apple TV and then my smart TV in my bedroom. And it's between Netflix.
I think I was the last person to buy a Fire Stick, and cable's going to die pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. I will say cable is probably going to go the way to the dodo because a lot of the things you can get on your Fire Stick or even your PS4. I mean, you don't need cable.
The only thing that if what I do tomorrow, which most likely will be, and in other words, my car, I had it paid off almost a year ago, and ironically, it's been giving me ordeals more than I'd like to admit. So chances are tomorrow I'm going to end up getting another car, and it's really not in my budget to do so. But there's a few things that I could do to cut back on, and one of them is cable, and probably get the basic internet plan that I had before. And the thing of it is, I was watching YouTube and Netflix before, and if I could save a few extra, then why not?
I pay about $300 plus a month for cable. Never use it.
It's funny. It's for me. It's like, okay, I just need to get through one more season of. I love watching Silicon Valley on HBO.
Right.
It's one of my favorite. I believe it. I don't ever really talk about it hardly at all on like this YouTube channel because you have to stick with your niche, like as they say.
Sure.
But I love tech. I've always been a tech guru person. Cameras obviously and all the other stuff I love very much. I love technology and all that. Not like I live and die for it, but there's just something about it I absolutely enjoy. And Silicon Valley is a goofy comedy, and really be on one more year. So it's like, okay, just pay for. Granted, I do HBO Go, but it's like $15 a month or whatever. It's like, okay, just get through one more season of Silicon Valley. There's rumors that this will be the last season, and then I'll just go ahead and get rid of it.
Yep.
So, I know something before we start talking. Avengers Endgame.
Yes,
Are you into the MCU at all or that sort of stuff?
I am. It was ironic. Last July, for my wife and I's anniversary, we went downtown Atlanta. July 9th. I'm surprised I remember that. We were downtown. We had done dinner at the Westin. That's a big tall building that they featured in Sharky's Machine, where the guy went out the window. 90-story building with a rotating restaurant.
Wow.
Ate there, came downstairs, walked around Atlanta, and went to Underground, which Underground is so sad now. But anyway, we went over to the Ferris wheel, and then we kind of walked through some parts of south side of Atlanta. And they had this 4 blocks set lined off. But when you look down the streets, they had tarps going over in between all the buildings, which are about 4 or 5 stories tall. And then you had all these ambulances and police cars that said NYPD, NY ambulance, NY. It was staged to look like New York. And then when we were asking the security people at each corner, hey, what are y'all filming the movie? Like, we can't talk about it. Like, oh, is it the new Iron Man? No. Oh, is it the new Captain America? No. Is it Avengers? I can't answer that question. We're like, okay. They were nice enough to not answer the question by, I guess, doing what they're supposed to. So, yeah, we were watching them film the final scenes from the first Avengers, where I guess they were Samuel Jackson turned into ashes. They were filming that scene at the end of the movie when we were kind of there just on looking. So it's kind of cool to see them filming that scene of Avengers being in downtown Atlanta.
Wow. Yeah. God, yeah, because it's now that I think about that particular scene, it obviously relates to, oh my God, it seems like hardly nobody wants to like Captain Marvel, or am I saying it right? Captain, yeah.
It's my understanding it didn't show too well last week.
It's not bad. I mean, it's not I know a lot. I think what it is, it's not based. It's a woman. I don't know.
I'll go watch it. I'll form my own opinion. I'll go watch it, but I'm not a movie critic. If I like it, I like it.
Yeah. If anything, if you have Netflix, if you have the patience, chances are it's going to be on Netflix, because pretty much all the MCU films have been on Netflix.
Yeah, I'll watch it, and if I like it, I like it. Keep in mind, one of my favorite movies of all time, which is, and I'll take this to my grave, one of my favorite movies is not even a movie, it's a spoof, and it's Spinal Tap. I think that is one of the greatest pieces of film that was ever made. And I don't care if it was a mockumentary, Spinal Tap is probably the best dumb movie I've ever watched.
Jamie Lee Curtis's husband, Christopher
Guest. For Guest.
Yes, and I love the fact that the movies that he did as a director and obviously a part of is obviously Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, Mighty Wind. I love those movies, and it obviously has a lot of relations to Spinal Tap.
Yeah,
Little World.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. That's one of my kind of Spinal Tap, Life of Brian or Holy Grail. So it's one of the three. But Spinal Tap, I can never get tired of it. It's so dated.
Have you? Speaking of which, I'm amazed how many people that I've spoken to that's never seen Student Bodies.
I've seen it. Oh God, 84. Is that when it came out? 83.
I see. I have it over here where you can't see it.
I know.
I could probably go over there, but that movie is hysterical. And these people that I've spoken to in this, like the horror genre, I'm like, you've got to see Student Bodies. It's available on DVD. It's one of those movies. I just like, you know what? You got to go find it. You got to watch it. It's just, if you're a Halloween fan or any of it, you've got to see it.
Yeah, like and then Lee had talked about he had brought it. Lee's great. He'll just go watch movies just at random. It's not what's popular now. He'll pull a movie out of the bin. Let's say 1985 Pieces. It was a horror movie where this killer was dissembling bodies to make one kind of a mutant sewn together person. It was a disturbing movie. But to me, that's like Student Bodies is to you. I loved 80s cheesy B horror. I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, we all love it because it's just,
the 80s were awesome for horror films. They definitely were. The beat,
The 80s were great.
Yeah.
And they capped it with Pet Sematary.
That I'm honest, it's funny. I maybe it's because I'm stubborn, about remakes, but
Yeah.
I was looking forward to seeing, I will admit, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this Pet Cemetery. It looks disturbing, creepy, I should say, not disturbing, but
Mhm.
creepy. And but there are films. I'll ask you this: if
Yes,
there, out of all of your horror films, and this excludes Halloween because it's already been done, obviously. What about it'll make
sir.
sense? Out of all the horror films, what is one that you hope they never touch? As a remake.
Ugh. Uh, Sadly, they already have, but I never wanted them to touch. I didn't even want them to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But that aside, you can't really do The Exorcist.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it to me. I mean, Halloween's my favorite movie, but The Exorcist is the scariest movie I've ever seen. Even now, watching it, I'm like, how do they get away with this? This back in 1973? Yeah. Hmm. We have laws now, I'm sure, that will protect that movie from ever being made now.
It's when I asked you that question, I already knew that would be my answer. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. The Exorcist, it would be impossible.
And I
I
know they did sequels, but I mean, or even Amityville Horror, the original Amityville Horror, whether you believe the story is true or not, I'm kind of on the 45%
Yeah.
true, 55% BS. I wasn't there. I don't know, but to me, it seems like I could see where the owner was trying to make a buck because you only lived there for a month. So
Um, of course, they did a remake on The Shining. That was like
yeah,
a TV series thing and all that. I wasn't happy about that.
and Salem's a lot. There's certain movie you just can't touch. And Salem's a lot. That's a movie that haunts me now. Just that scene where he's sitting there with his back to the guys crawling through that crawl space. They didn't know they're there.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, don't forget those images when it's 40 years later.
the tapping on the glass when he's laying in. If you think about it, if you watch, I have that Salem's Lot today, and it's so cool when you look for a
Yeah,
little post.
the kid from Meatballs. He was the kid from Meatballs and the bodyguard. I forget his name. He's got like 3 names in his name.
Yeah.
Like Tony Todd from Candyman.
There you go, Tony. Thank you.
Tony Todd. So yeah, the kid that's tapping on the window, and then you look out the window, and he's like floating.
Yeah, that
He's like a star at 6-year-old.
Of
And
course,
it's on ABC. It's on regular TV. It's not even on HBO.
Carlo scared the hell out of me. Absolutely scared me to death when I was a kid when I seen that. And of course,
Oh, on Chris Makepeace, I think is his name. This is all this big. The reason I can't wear a 23.5-inch mask because I have all this headspace of useless knowledge. So all the masks that I have are for display only because they don't fit.
when I seen that from Death Studios, Jeff, I cannot think of his real last name, but Jeff Death. When I see it, because I've got it over here to the left, it's obviously the Kirk Barlow, but it's not titled as a Kirk Barlow because but I when I seen that I was like I gotta, and I still to this very day I'd love to get to make it a life size, for Kurt Barlow, but it's to find a mannequin or to make it where the arms are like this. Because to me, if I'm going to do it, I want the arms to span out.
Yeah. My wife didn't really know it at the time when we were at the convention, but all these people that are in, all these cosplayers, you think they're going to get tired of pictures, but actually they don't. And they love doing it, and they actually get a character. And this is nothing that isn't already known for those that have already gone to these things. But when you say, "Hey, can I take your photo?" Not one person even acted like it was tiring for me to ask. They're like, "Heck yeah, let's do it!" But they let us get into character. And of course, I have a 5-year-old, and they play to how they feel that kid's going to be. Of course, Paige loves it because she's morbid like her dad. But it was seeing that him. Let me find it. Oh my gosh! When he came up and I took a picture of him with Jennifer, it was just
I was gonna say, do you have it saved on your computer?
I do, and like I said, it's hard to see from this, but when we did that, it just took me back 40 years.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I was kind of hoping you would share that because I remember seeing that. That's why I kind
Yeah.
of so.
And these are not masks. These are latex pieces that are, spirit gum. Everything's on where their mouth moves. They've got contact lenses in. These aren't just people in masks. That's not work. These guys are getting into full costume like it were a movie set and walking around with this stuff. And the two clowns that were like 9 feet tall were going at it all day long. He never hesitated once to stop and take a photo.
I know I could imagine the fun they would, but I know I couldn't do that. I would be sweating like a pig, as they'd say. But still,
Yeah.
all kudos to people that do that.
There was one person sweating like a pig, and that was Krampus. That guy was dressed up, and he looked very warm. But he never gave up. It was a warm day last Saturday in New Jersey. Go figure.
Speaking of what I've been wanting to bring it up occasionally, and I can't help but notice behind you was that the poster print, like door print from Nick Malpagano?
It is. It's one of the few that I won, aside from Patty Byrne, who I'm sure we all know. But yeah, actually, the pumpkin, the prototype, each one pumpkin I got from Handy Boy Studios, and then also the door poster. So
okay, the pumpkin. Okay, I didn't. I think it's because the way you're sitting.
Oh, I'm sorry, my big head's in the way.
No, you're fine. I mean, it's like I know if people watch and they're like, "Move, Scott. We want to see what's in your case."
Well, what he did to this, and what I've seen with the licensed people that do them now, that's going to be released later this year through TOTS. You can't touch what he did, and I've seen the other ones. You can't touch what Nick did on this pumpkin. And I felt kind of amazed because on the bottom of the pumpkin it says prototype, and I even wrote him back and said, "Nick, do you want this one back? Can you give me another one? I don't want to take your first one." He's like, "No, it's fine, take it."
Huh. I wonder if that's like, if you look up above, obviously in the case, I got an orange pumpkin. I bought that at, we've got Hobby Lobby here. It's kind of, I don't know how big they are in this country. Like, I think Michael's is bigger or something. I don't know. But I forget what that is.
It's like Lowe's, Home Depot, where there's a Hobby Lobby, there's a Michael's, there's a CVS, there's a Walgreens. So, yeah, we have Hobby Lobby.
I forget what it was called, but I obviously, how Hobby Lobby, okay, then how, in other words, in June, Hobby Lobby will have stuff out for Christmas. And they there's pumpkins there, and you can obviously carve them if you want to. And I'm afraid I'd screw it up, so I just leave it as a boring pumpkin.
Well, that's kind of what I want to go for, is to have something that's lit, that you can plug in. So like with Ian Fetterman, with his LED pumpkins, they're just gorgeous. It's like what you have, but it's like you pick an image and he'll make it into the pumpkin, and it's just anyway. Find him on. You can't miss him on Facebook. Big tall dude, about 7 feet tall, sitting next to Jamie Lee Curtis. But his pumpkins were just like, and my wife even came to me beforehand. She goes, "Hey, this guy's selling pumpkins. You got to come check these out." Like I said, when I walked around, I looked at him, I looked at the face, and I'm like, "Why do I know you?" And it's like, it just full circle. And then I looked at his pumpkins, and had I had been to the ATM like a responsible person, I would have had one behind me now.
Yeah.
But I am getting one from Ian, so I guarantee you that.
I know one. I'm trying. This is not me at all trying to put myself up on a certain at all whatsoever. I get messaged a lot. In fact, there's times when certain things are going on, when I'm doing certain things on YouTube, I literally have to take Messenger off of my phone. And words, just if I get on my computer, Facebook, obviously you get it all right there because I can't keep up with it. I just can't. And I can't, like, in other words, if I'm at work, it's like my phone's going crazy. So it's like, okay, I got to take Messenger off for a while. But somebody suggested to me during the time, and this is one I wish I hadn't because I can't find it, the Judith Myers, the headstone, and a picture of it. And now it's like, man, because it wasn't like, I can't remember how much the person was asking for them who makes them, but I would love to have one standing next to a life-size Myers that I've had for so many years. And I'm thinking that would be perfect. But I don't know. Eventually I'll find it. And I always feel bad when I do that, but it's kind of like
I do have the card to the people that make those. The TOTS versions are like tabletop.
Yeah.
But this lady was making a full 4 foot by 3 foot And I have her card, so I'll definitely send you that information. And they're reasonable. Like I said, nothing at the con was there to rip you off. Of course, there were certain items that were limited you were going to pay for, but for the most part, everything was reasonable. They brought in like 20 tombstones from the front door, and they were gone in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, because the life size I have is like your height, 6'2", and I just always feel like there's something missing. I always felt like, because I actually have it in this room, and there's a space right there. I always envision a like a Judith Myers, sitting right there. One of these days, I'm going to make like a little, like this is one thing I wish I would have never opened, because when I see how much they cost on eBay,
oh yeah.
I think
they came out 2005-ish time frame. Was that 2005, 2006? I can't remember.
It might have been. That sounds about right.
When they had the diorama with Loomis and Michael on the porch or something.
Yeah, that's something else. I just can't see spending $400 on, but
yeah.
Sometimes I think about making a life size of this, because you just don't see that, but that might be a little bit of a challenge. I don't know. I don't want to have life size all around this house. That'd be a little disturbing, I guess. But
what do you have on your life size now? What mask?
Oh, right now I have nothing on it. I know that sounds funny, but that's because I'm kind of waiting. I had my NHK on there. It looked great. And then I was trying, because of different videos, I would put certain masks on it to do certain videos, because the life size is in much better shape than me.
Yeah, this thing right here. I mean, aside from the Proto, the 98, or even the 75 Kirk.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to stay close to me for a while.
Yeah. But right now it's silly, because I wait for her to put something else on it. So I used to have it behind my bar, and it's getting to the point where, because my office space, I just prefer to have it here. And my son, I don't go around talking about it on my channel. I did in the beginning, which I was going to, but maybe I'll wait for some other time, because this video is kind of, I don't know. I guess. Well, my son, he's 23. He'll be 24 this year, and he's autistic, and he loves horror stuff. When he's over here, he's on his computer. He's doing YouTube on there, and he's watching TV. It's either I hear Halloween in the background, or I hear Sesame Street, or I hear Batman, or Evil Dead. It's just something, one thing or another. But when he's actually around, the horror stuff, kind of larger than life, it kind of creeps him out a little bit still. So I noticed that every time when he would be over, he would kind of dodge that area real quick. So you know what? He's more important to me than, having some images on a video. So now it's like, it's funny, because I have a collection for him already, as masks or whatnot. Like, I have a bust that I made for him, like when I used to make those busts and all that. And I have a 78 Deluxe from Nag Mask that I gave to Zach, my son.
Nice.
It doesn't bother him, but that life size, I think, was bothering him, because he would try to get the hell out of there every time he's having breakfast or something. So
I wish my daughter was a little bit different. I had recently sent a mask that I was collecting it, but I knew that it would find a proper home somewhere else. So I had gotten this mask. I didn't do any kind of a boxing video. So when I took it out of the box, she put it on and grabbed the big fake knife, and I just took some photos, and she loved it, which kind of scared me as a parent. I'm like, okay, I'm being very irresponsible. And of course, I put it on Facebook. Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hoping those don't come back to haunt me later in life. Excuse me. So she's kind of like, she reminds me of me in 1970.
Yeah, she's mocking her dad. That's all she's doing.
Yeah.
She looks
that
like
mask is gone. I boxed it up and sent it to Canada. It's in the fine care of Dave McRae. So use it for his show.
That's right, because Dave McRae had a video of, obviously, him unboxing that mask.
Yes.
If anything, what I could do after, when this video is done, if people are still watching at this point, we can put the link to that video down in the description box so they go check out that video.
I think most of them probably turned off when I said Duran Duran.
Nah, you know what? Dude. I mean, what am I doing? Her name is Rio. I was talking with my girlfriend earlier. I was joking with her. I'm like, I met somebody else. Their name is Rio. And I went, dude.
Yep.
She's like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, I'm sure if there's 100 people watching this video, through time, there might be 1% of them out there that's never heard of Dave. And now it's at 100%, because Dave is obviously a very talented individual. He was born to sit in front of that microphone.
Yep.
I mean, obviously he has more of it, so.
Yep.
But
and I mean, he's just like everybody else that I came across that I met and had any kind of conversation with at Monster Mania 42, and of course in the past week, boom, with the exception of Wednesday when Facebook crashed and the world panicked and we all went robbing grocery stores. I've got Facebook requests out the wazoo, and it's like before my wife's big thing is I don't Facebook friend anybody I don't know, but when you Facebook request me and there's a picture of you holding Jack Skellington or Beetlejuice or Mike Myers or just a knife and a severed head, I don't even think twice. I click add. Welcome to my party.
I'm
60 this week since the HorrorCon.
It was about, I'll just near off 6 months ago. I had to really watch those ads because after a while there was something going on with my Facebook because after a while people were sending me stuff saying, don't click or it's fake, or I started getting really scared about that. And I was like, oh God. So now it's like, that's another reason why there was times I'm like, okay, I'm just taking Messenger or whatever off my phone or just things. But when you're saying, I guess what Facebook was down on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it.
Well, with the exception of I always get the girls from ISIS request. So if you friend request me and you're half my age or younger, and I see that you just created your profile 2 days ago, and all of your friends are male, you have two pictures, a profile photo and a cover photo, block, delete.
Exactly.
Done. They will hack your account or steal your kidneys.
Yeah, that's one thing I definitely am like, look, you look younger than my son. And I completely ignore it. I do. I feel bad because there's people who send me requests and I won't see it until like 2 weeks later or something like that.
Sure.
It's just after a while, I don't know what it is. It's just things get really blown up at times. But I always do. I always feel bad about it. But I'm thinking, you know what? These people have lives. They understand. It's not a big deal.
Yep. Or it's just robots. It's just it's not even a real person anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I never thought about it. It could be a bunch of Russians trying to friend me.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly enough, the only news I get this day and age is from YouTube, and that's usually from comedians. That's how I choose to select to hear my news.
Yeah, Jim Brewer, love him. I love following him. He's one of my favorites. And the wife and I are in August. We're going to go see Jim Gaffigan for the second time, and he's a great comedian. And he doesn't even cuss, and you don't even know it. So he'll go through an entire set without saying one bad word, which I can't even go through a full day without saying 10. His shows are just so great.
I've chosen, when I first started doing YouTube on a regular basis, when I found what I was going to do here, before I was like, oh, let's do the vlogs, I was just trying to find ways to start editing stuff again for my own entertainment. And I realized, okay, my son likes watching me on there. So I try my best to watch my language around him. And then when you start watching others on YouTube that kind of hint to watch the language on there, I'm like, you know what? I could see that. I get that. And there's others that just don't care. You do whatever. That's fine. But I'm thinking of myself and my son. But once in a while, some people, in the beginning, they were probably thinking that I'm such a clean-cut person. And after I would talk every once in a while to certain individuals, this was a long time ago, they were shocked to hear me say, you know, certain words or whatever. It's like, no, it's just because I try to be careful for YouTube and my son. Other than that, like you, there are times it's like, well, I've gotten to when I was doing videos on a regular basis, even in my own personal life, I found myself cussing less. But when I get for a while, it's back to the same old truck driver language.
Yeah. I'm trying to, she probably won't go for it. I may end up going alone. Andrew Dice Clay is performing here in Richmond.
Hickory dickory dock. Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love Andrew Dice Clay. He might be 60 and had 4, you know, heart attacks or whatnot, but I think he's to me, he is 1990. And it's just, he's hilarious. And his show that he had on ABC was great.
God, that was a good night. That was.
She probably won't go. Probably going along, or with my Uber driver.
Just the fact that you said his name, all that brings back such good memories.
But when it kind of, to go back to your comment about being kind of clean, if you're going to be, you know, recognizable or in a public forum, I think one of the best comedians was Mitch Hedberg. He was like a modern day Steve. Oh, the guy on the couch from Half Baked.
Oh,
Stephen Wright. So Stephen Wright kind of had a son called Mitch Hedberg. It was just, I don't know. I wish I could have seen him live, but he left us about 14 years ago, 13 years ago. But yeah, there are some comedians that still keep it clean. Jim Brewer is one of them. Saw him not too long ago. But yeah, I love Jim Brewer. He's hilarious.
You know, now that I think about it, when you're talking about concerts, some of the I've seen them 4 times. The most memorable concert that I went to 4 times, I believe, are absolutely amazing concerts. Is Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted to see him play.
It's very entertaining, and it's amazing how well Al Yankovic and his band, the same band members, have been there since day one. A lot of times they'll have videos up on their stage of what songs they're doing, and they are in perfect sync with the videos when they're playing live. It's just every.
He also goes through like a costume change for every song.
From the Michael Jacksons, you know, from those ordeals to the Star Wars parodies and all that, and
Julio Hair, Gangsters, Amish Paradise.
God, that his version I think is much better. Amish Paradise.
I agree. If before I forget, because I'm old and this whole big 7 5/8 noggin I have, I will say my favorite Weird Al song will always be "Nature Trail to Hell."
Nature Trail to Hell in 3D.
3D, because when they promote their own movie in the song, and they say you won't see effects like this until we bring you Nature Trail to Hell Part 2. Well, that was perfect. That was
clean cut family fun.
Clean cut family fun. Yeah, the music kind of changed a little bit, but he said, you won't see these effects again until we bring you Part 2. And they were promoting their own movie in a song. Great.
Oh, of course, I know you had to love UHF.
Great movie. Is that the one that had Michael Richards was the janitor or something, and he became producer of the show or something? Yeah, UHF was great.
The fire hose.
Yep, that was that movie I watched not too long ago. There was another movie that didn't get a big following, I don't think. But I watched it not too long ago, and I think it's personally one of Steve Martin's better films, and that's My Blue Heaven.
Oh yeah,
with Rick Moranis, where he was in a witness protection program.
Yeah,
and then I won't say it because it's a bad word on your show or your thing we're doing here. But when he's walking through a grocery store in his silk suit that probably costs about $3,000, with a cart with his Italian hair, and he's passing by all these people that are polite and kind. And then finally, I guess he had enough of it, and the lady's like, "Have a nice day." He turns around, flips her off, and says, "F you." I'll never forget this. Yeah.
It would. Well, Steve Martin, there's one of his line. I don't know why. I just thought it was so funny. It was obviously when he was doing stand-up comedy. This is back when I would, and oh God, vinyl. Thank God kids are knowing what vinyl are now, or what vinyl is again. This is back when I would listen to Richard Pryor and Steve Martin on vinyl. And there was just something about this particular line where he was doing, if you know Steve Martin, you could hear him saying it, where he's in a restaurant and a woman turns around and says, "This, believe it or not, folks, at one day people used to be able to smoke cigarettes in public places." Like in this case, in his act, the woman turned around and asked him, "Excuse me, sir, but do you mind if I smoke?" And this, the way Steve Martin phrased it, "No, ma'am, but do you mind if I fart?" I mean, it was just.
That was either a Wild and Crazy Guy or Comedy Is Not Pretty. That was a good album.
Yeah. Oh God, I still think of that just listening to the record. I mean, I even listened to Eddie Murphy when he had Delirious.
Boogie in the Butt. Yeah, a song about putting all kind of stuff in your butt. You never can forget. And it's sad to listen to those old albums and hear him tell the stories about Charlie. Never know who the heck Charlie Murphy was. And then Charlie Murphy was made popular thanks to Dave Chappelle. And then we actually saw him live about 10 years ago. Great guy.
I live
great guy. Charlie Murphy.
I live, let's say 30 minutes away from Dave Chappelle.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's still, him and his wife and his kids, they still live in it's a small little, he lives basically outside of it, where he more or less grew up in. Yellow Springs. Yellow Springs is a hippie little town. Cool little town. Not very big. But yeah, it's probably, I want to say 95% white and 2% black, and that's Dave Chappelle and his family. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to sound, but the thing of it is, it's not that they exclude any other races. It's not like that at all. In fact, they're more welcoming of any races or your sexual orientation. It's just that's how it's been there. And I mean, he's talked about it on his shows and stuff like that. It's just he likes his kids growing up. His mother or his father, I forget what it was, at Antioch College, a small little college out there, was a professor. But it's a safe haven for him. It's been like that way for years, and he can go to the coffee shop and nobody bothers him. Like, "Hey, what's up, Dave?" You know, they don't, because they're used to seeing him there. So, yeah,
nice.
I drove through there not too long ago. I was like, man, I still love this little town. They have record shops there and head shops. Gee.
Yeah, we have about 3 left here in old Carytown, Virginia, or in Richmond. In Carytown, it's a small little area over in the museum district. There's I think it's called Plan 9. It's still, I just bought a record player about a year and a half ago, so I'm finally getting my stock back up in my LPs. So I'm up to like 8 now.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You cannot beat the sound of a good vinyl. I mean, CDs, or let's say streaming music, you're not going to get that echo. Prince is a good example. I remember, like, when Prince was really big, he had a lot of his vinyl that, obviously with a good speaker and stereo system, Prince had a lot of echo.
Yeah.
But you don't hear it in CDs or streaming music. You only hear it in vinyl.
I think my next album purchase is going to be, actually it's going to be David Bowie's last album, Black Star. I do want to get that one because that's the one, he did right before he passed. But I think, of course, the first album I bought when I got my record player back, like anybody really cares, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Fleetwood Mac Rumors, and then I really want to get my hands on that Halloween 2018 album.
Oh,
I heard several good reports about that album on vinyl.
You should be,
as far as the album on sound.
If you can't find it, let me know, because I might be able to get it for you. If it's still down the road from here, because I've seen a bunch of them.
Okay.
I'm surprised I haven't given. It's funny. My bar, gee, has anybody seen that bar that I have? Right behind it where nobody sees, there's actually a turntable and a receiver down there.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as good because I need to actually focus. I have actually plans of what I want to do with that section. And you were asking if I had a basement earlier before we started recording.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before I bought this house, I lived in a condo. And in the condo, it didn't really have a basement. It was 3 stories. And the lower level was the perfect man cave. So myself and an old roommate, somebody who I grew up with ever since we were teenagers, and if YouTube was back, well, if YouTube existed back in the 80s, oh my God, I would have had stuff on there. But anyways, him and I, we shared this place. It was huge. So I had already built that bar. I actually made that bar, not the back bar, but there's been different pieces to that bar since 2002. And actually, at one point, I had like over. It's funny when I made that bar. I know I'm jumping here. I stopped actually. I didn't drink as much. I would go out with friends, have a good time, or we'd get together and socialize, drinking, whatever. I'm an adult. Who cares? But when I built this bar, I started going to certain places to collect. Gee, collect. Have we ever heard of that before? So I started collecting different bottles. And next thing you know, I got to the point where the place where I used to live at, the bar downstairs, literally, that's what we called it. I had over 300 bottles of liquor down there.
Good Lord.
And
did you collect my favorite bottle? It's the Grolsch bottle with that cap. Did you have one of those?
I've had so many different types. I probably didn't.
Okay.
Actually, the funny thing of it is, I still probably have about 80 bottles over at my parents' house.
Okay.
And I actually got rid of a lot of those bottles by not drinking them. Just they were given to others. And
if any of those bottles are called Boons, I will buy them from you.
That I don't have. I wish I still had. I got to find it because I'd love to put it back there. Somebody had made a label where it says the bar downstairs. It was on a bottle it was stuff that tastes like, I forget what it's made of, but it tastes like apple pie. But it had liquor in it, obviously. But it was cool because
I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember what was in it.
It was not as bad as Cisco. I know what you're talking about. What Mad Dog?
No, it's been so long. It tastes. My stepfather, they would come over. It's funny. It's people would come over there to hang out. It was just a really cool. It was just really cool man cave. And like I said, I added more to it, everything. And somebody brought this stuff over. Like I said, it tastes like apple pie. And my stepdad, he was someone who just didn't have mixed drink. He just drink beer. He was like, man, this is good.
Moonshine?
I don't think I'd have to. God, I can't.
That's pretty prevalent around here in the western part of Virginia. I have friends that hook me up with the strawberry or the apple.
Yeah,
it's like only one year you can get it.
Oh, living close to in other words, Northern Kentucky, get a lot of certain. Yeah, oh yeah, a lot of stuff. But it's funny. But anyways, like with all that, they're over, let's say, over the past couple years, there's a certain crowd that not a big fan of me anymore. And I'm drunk. Whatever, I don't care. Think whatever you want to think. That's all because of what they see in the background.
Oh.
Whatever. I don't lose my sleep over certain ordeals, if you know what I mean. But that's fine if you want to say that I'm a drunk because of what you see in the background. The funny thing of it is, what a lot of people don't know, I hardly drink. I can't remember the last time I had a beer, to be honest with you. But yeah, that bar, I would probably have more social drinks with other people. Now, granted, when I had that, we'd have get-togethers and stuff like that. I have drinks, but
no, you're a proper host. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it became a major hobby of mine. I would start collecting this and that, and I hardly would touch it because I was collecting the bottles.
You need to get a picture of the bartender from The Shining, unless you already have one back there. I forget his name.
It's funny. When I do certain videos where it's the spot where if I have, I don't know, there's just that spot. I always stood there, even, well, I don't know. But when I do certain videos where I'm not actually behind, in other words, that was like where I always did unboxings when I'm actually behind the bar. But when I'm on the side of it, if you pay close enough attention, which is kind of hard, in the background on the wall, there's a photo, like a 5x7 photo of not the bartender, but when he's sitting at the bar. And
Yes.
like I said, it's probably hard to see, but in those particular videos, I was always trying to have little Easter eggs in them, and that was kind of one of them.
Yep.
In fact, there was at one point, I think it still might, it might be in there still. I had, what was that? I can't remember. It was a big ordeal. Some college kid. He did like some song or whatever. It was a big. Oh, it was kind of funny, and I had that. It's funny. I'd have to go. I'm not going to go out there and grab it, but it's there on the wall. Some college kid that he couldn't sing worth a crap, but people were buying his CDs or something like that.
Oh,
it's out there by the bar.
I know it's not Gangnam Style, but is that the other one you're talking about that tried out for The Voice or America's Got Talent and did awful?
Yeah. So I don't watch the shows, but now that you mention that, it does sound familiar. Yeah, he did like there's like a video. In fact, the old bar that I had downstairs, I had like vinyl records up on the wall, and I had to put Kenny G up on there because that when people came over, they're like, "Why does he have Kenny G up on the wall?" And there's Van Halen all over the place, and Michael Myers standing in the corner. Hey,
well, you didn't hit rock bottom. If you had an album of Frank Stallone, that's when I probably would worry.
Frank Stallone, oh God. Obviously you're referring to Rocky, correct? Rocky's brother.
Yep.
And
did that song for the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, and it was
didn't he actually no. See, I'm thinking of the original Rocky. And they had that song that you were in the beginning of that Take You Back or something like that, or the guy sitting there. Was that Frank Stallone or was that not Frank Stallone singing in it?
Either Frank Stallone or like Michael Cimbello. I can't remember. Cool thing is, going back to Monster Mania, if you do go to the one in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, you're literally 5 minutes from the museum district where Rocky did the run up the steps. We actually drove around going to a kids museum. Yeah, you just cross the bridge, and if you're on the top floor of the Crown Plaza, you could see, I'm pretty sure you could see the museum from the top floor of the Crown Plaza. It's only like 5 miles away.
Huh.
And it was kind of cool to see that, and my wife was taking pictures, and she didn't get a good picture. But the great news is that actually is in a roundabout. So I'm doing like NASCAR laps in this roundabout until she got the one photo, and then we exited off Martin Luther King and went on to the museum. But just to see those sites, in addition to going to the Monster Mania, and also we went to Eastern State Penitentiary, which was phenomenal. Great tours, great prison, great history, and it's right there, smack dab downtown Philadelphia.
Huh.
It takes up about 3 city blocks by 3 city blocks.
Yeah.
So lots to do when you go to these cons. You don't just have to go to a con. You can see a lot. And we were only there for like 3 days, so we piled it all in, and it was a great weekend. Very, very rewarding. Good pictures.
Well, yeah,
and I met a lot of great people.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I've already said it, I don't know how many times, but I'm gonna have to make plans to do that. I mean, let's face it. If you plan ahead, especially if you had such a good time, you're probably already thinking about next year's going to the same particular one.
Yep.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I mean, we all know I don't dwell on it. Mainly because I don't know. I've just chose not to. And there's others, and it's nothing against it. It's just I guess because I just haven't had time to. We all know by now that they're obviously making a follow-up. I don't want to use the word sequel because it's been overdone, but we all know there's a follow-up to the Halloween 2018.
Yep.
Thinking, I don't know when production is or when they're going to start shooting or whatever, but I'm thinking after that one's released and we've all seen it, hopefully conventions follow perfectly after that one, or maybe right before it. Who knows?
Yeah, I went onto a website today that just kind of broke down all the conventions in the entire continental United States. And like this weekend, you got Cincinnati Horror Hound, I think in 2 weeks, or no, next weekend, right in Atlantic City, there's a horror fest. And of course, Monster Mania does 2 back-to-back in August and October. So if you're thinking about doing one, I would probably do the one in October because it's closer for you in Maryland versus going all the way up to New Jersey. But I couldn't believe how many fests. I mean, there's fest in Raleigh, which is about an hour and a half away from me. There's a fest in Charlotte coming up, I think in May, which is about 4 hours away. I mean, they're all over. I'm like,
how close are you to Williamsburg, Virginia?
Hour.
Oh, really?
On track. It takes me 15 minutes longer to go to Busch Gardens than it does to go to King's Dominion.
Because I'm trying to locate where you're at compared to what you were, described from my personal experience being in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Yeah, I'm smack dab southwest Richmond, near the James River.
God, that was a long time ago because Zach was a baby. So
Busch Gardens is great. It's great. Only because they have a guest house and I can drink beer there and ride rides.
So yeah, Busch Gardens is the one in Williamsburg, Virginia, correct?
Yeah, Busch Gardens, Europe is what it is.
Photo of it somewhere. I mean, riding a roller. Hey, this was back in 90. See, my son was born in 95.
Mm-hmm. So my daughter. Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was either 95 or 96 when I was there. Because my son's, he's born in October.
Mm-hmm.
I know, so it had to been early 96, I would say.
I didn't move here till 2003, I think. 2002, 2003. About 4 of the roller coasters that were there are no longer there for a short time. I don't know if it was there or King's Dominion. They had one of the supersonic. It like shot you up like 100 feet or 200 feet and then brought you down straight. And then the ride lasted about 2 seconds. So it lasted 1 year and they took it out. Hypersonic, I believe it was what it's called.
They had that very similar roller coaster in Cedar Point up north of me, Sandusky, Ohio. I think it was called Superman or something, or the same concept. Yeah. Like zero gravity sort of thing. And
if Virginia had a Cedar Point, I would move right outside the gate.
Cedar Point is definitely, when it comes to, I'll just say Ohio safely. Not that we have a lot of amusement parks, but Cedar Point is definitely known for their roller coasters.
And you got like 17 massive ones, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely above Kings Island on the roller coaster scale, but the fact that they're like Kings Mills obviously owns 13. Obviously, you have Kings Dominion, Kings Island, Cedar Point, and they're spread everywhere. So that's a good thing.
The Kings places were better I think they were a little bit better when they had the Paramount label.
Yeah.
So I think it was a little bit better when they had Paramount because they had the SpongeBob 3D, 4D, and then as soon as they dropped their label, a lot of stuff came out of King's Dominion.
Actually, now that I think about it, I want to correct that. For myself personally, Kings Island before Paramount. In other words, it was Paramount's Kings Island. I have nothing against it, but there were certain things as a childhood memory of Kings Island that it was gone because of Paramount.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, it had its advantages when it was Paramount. Now that it's not Paramount anymore, it's kind of like it was back in the day. But Kings Island's kind of getting that. Well, now that it's Cedar Fair and we have Cedar Point, they're trying to focus on, let's get the roller coaster thing going again. And they don't do adding roller coasters all the time, but we've got one that's coming up soon. It's going to be hellacious. I forget the name.
Yeah, Ohio is the mecca for the roller coaster enthusiast. So Yeah, you're very lucky to have that around you.
I mean, yeah, we don't have the Disney World or the Disneyland, but we're, it's funny. It's my son. It cracks me up. I know it's obvious. His favorite roller. It's the wooden roller coaster, and it's been around forever. And it's still in my heart one of my favorites because I've been on it. I can't tell you how many times. And it's the Beast, and it's a wooden roller coaster.
Oh,
Not the tallest. It's not the fastest, but it's just something about it. It's so cool. I mean, it has its first tall hill, but it's like there's two sections of it. It's, in other words, it kind of, you go through your typical, this left and right, up and down, and then it kind of stops and you go up this big hill again. And now, by the way, it's surrounded in all this wooded area. It's all in the woods.
yep.
And then when you go up the hill, you look down and it's going to go through this spiral, and you feel like you're going to have your head cut off when you're going through that tunnel every time. But riding the Beast at nighttime, when it's a little bit of wet, I mean, when it's rained a little bit, I swear it's faster. And you could, it's like to this very day, I still feel like you could hear it roaring like a beast going through those woods at night.
Didn't you have Son of Beast and they took it out or something?
Yeah, the Son of Beast was it kicked it was.
Is that the hybrid? Was that the mixed wood steel frame that flipped, or was that Beast now? I can't remember.
A complete, it was a wooden roller coaster. It was the only wooden roller coaster of its time where it did a complete, flip around. And it had a very high hill. It was fast, but it would beat the hell out of you. And I tell people that are not that don't have experience with wooden roller coasters, do not ride in the middle. Ride in the front or the very end. But if you ride in the middle, it's going to beat the hell out of you. So that's my one recommendation on wooden roller coasters: avoid the middle. But then you've got, I could say, for Diamondback is one of my favorite ones at Kings Island. I could literally ride it like this. There's no seat belt. It's so smooth. It's got this hill, but it's like, yeah. I know I'm getting Kings Islands will be they have a preview night April 19th.
Diamondback. We have it's a roller coaster called Apollo's Chariot, and it's just one simple lap bar that comes down, and it's like you're riding on butter. It's wonderful. You could just ride it all day long and never get a headache. But then, of course, you ride something like Alpengeist once, and I'm going to buy Tylenol. That thing beats you up.
Do they have in King's Dominion? It's funny. I have not taken. Well, I know the main reason why I haven't taken a camera into Kings Island in a while is mainly my son. He gets so aggravated when I have the camera. He just can't stand it. He doesn't mind photos, but he knows when I'm recording, and he gets mad at me. So I'm like, you know what? I'll stop taking the camera to Kings Island. Even though I was trying to stick my GoPro in to ride the roller coasters, but they're watching you more now with that because it's illegal to do. That, and I've always screwed up because the GoPro I had wasn't 60 frames per second. So when you'd watch it, it was choppy. Things you learn over the years. But I wish I had a lens. I do technically, but it doesn't have any stabilization on it to where I could take it at nighttime when they have the haunt at Kings Island.
Oh, yeah. We have that here. Love it. I think Kings Dominion does a better job than Busch Gardens when it comes to Halloween.
That's because I had a feeling they had that there because I've been wanting to share it with everyone, but like I said, it's too dark. So at least you've experienced it.
And they're great with the kids. They kind of cater to who's coming up. If they see a 2 or 3-year-old, they kind of hold off. If they see some bad kid that's not listening to his mom, they will jump out and scare the hell out of him because he just needs to be scared.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're very careful with how they handle it, especially the teenagers. They go crazy with teenagers because you can spot the teen crowd, and they don't hold anything back with the teens. But little kids they're cool with it.
You're absolutely right. That's how they do it with Kings Island. They're very good about it. My son, I'm hoping that I can get him to go. He's getting a little bit more brave. That's why one of the things I was hoping about having a life-size Michael Myers. It's funny. Like I said, he loves watching Halloween films, but you get him around it, it's like, no. But it was I'd say about 2005, 2006. I had Zach with me there. We had the Halloween time, and he knew something was going to happen because it's starting getting darker, and my son was shaking, and I'm like, I can't do this. I gotta leave. But
because they have all the effects and people and character actors starting to walk through, and
exactly,
they set up obstacles. All those obstacles they'll put up on like the main pass so they can hide behind them.
yeah.
So yeah, he could detect it, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing of it is, at night, and I don't know how long they've kept it up, but I bought them. They had this lifesaver. It was really cool too. It was all plastic. You hit the button and it would do these lights and all that. So I got that for him, and he felt comfortable with that. So he's standing around at Kings Island holding it, like this. And anytime somebody's just who's working there, obviously wearing a costume, if he was just walking by Zach, not trying to scare him, Zach would hit him with it. I'm like, Zach, you can't do that. I'm hoping this year maybe he'll go. But other than that, because it sucks because I feel guilty if I go to Kings Island without my son.
Mm-hmm.
Kings Island, that's our time. But I want so desperately to take him to Kings Island during the Halloween haunt and hopefully have a camera that has a decent lens so I could show everybody, just kind of walk around, just because it'd be a cool video. But
oh yeah, no doubt.
But Zach, if I could just get him to go, we don't have to go to the haunted houses, just to walk around. But he's having I'll just say a stubborn 23-year-old. I already mentioned, I just don't like dwelling on publicly about Zach, about,
Sure.
certain things, because I like to protect him and I don't want people to. But ironically, I actually have a different YouTube channel that I started up for him and his kid, his Top Soccer organization, which I'm going to be more involved in with this year. And in fact, I'm going to be doing more advertisings for him. But I try to make sure that I separate that channel from this channel, mainly because it's how you have been involved in this hobby long enough to understand that there's certain things you have to be careful with, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
And the day that if my son may get some type of verbal attack, this channel will come down in a heartbeat, mainly because but ironically, with the one thing when I was wanting to start with the Patreon thing, if it did grow to be somewhat successful or enough people were involved with it, I've automatically wanted to take a certain percentage every year. That, in other words, when his season is over with in October, I was going to take that certain percentage, and because now they've got it set up for as a nonprofit organization and people that donate money to Top Soccer, which is basically it's the outreach program, and they have it actually. It's growing in different states that they're associated with this Special Olympics and U.S. soccer and all this other events, but I was always thinking, I'm going to take a little bit of that fund and donate it to Top Soccer on the honor of, the bar downstairs literary production. So that's something that I still want to do. So I still have to, in other words, find a way to where people can respect that I'm not going to have soccer on this channel, but if you want to, it's just going to be strictly Tops, North Dayton Top Soccer on the YouTube channel that I have for that. So, but I just, the way I want to find a way to help give back. You know what I mean?
Like I said, I'm a huge supporter of the whole Patreon thing because I'm finding out now more that I enjoy watching Patreon channels more than cable.
Yeah.
So I did a Patreon for this guy that does like urban exploration. He goes around all these places, and then I'm like, yep. I'll give you a couple bucks, just not to get my name on there, but just because of what he does. Because I watched him as early videos and I watched him as new ones. I think it's something with Jordan. He lives out in California, but he does a lot of urbex and like Hollywood places, old scenes, like the Disney. But he goes to all these cool places I've never been to because I've never really been to the cool places of Southern California. I'd love to go Halloween locations, but just how these urbex play, like Dan Bell. I don't know if you know Dan Bell. He's amazing. Even my wife likes Dan Bell. He's from Baltimore, does a lot of stuff up here. And of course, if you don't know who Adam the Woo is, I suggest you learn. I was going to say Adam the Woo is probably our favorite. And we kind of live vicariously through him with what he does. So it's silly TV, but it's stuff I actually enjoy. You know, it's not like Fred.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, it's these people. I mean, okay, Atmu, and you know, I want to put myself out of it, or we'll put Dave. You know as well as I do. These people are doing this stuff because they absolutely love doing it. You know, and it's authentic, it's independent, and if you get a value, I mean, let's face it. I know I've said it so many times, and it's true. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and you can literally learn anything in this world just by going on YouTube. If you want to learn how to play guitar anymore, you can go on YouTube and learn how to play guitar there. If you want to find out, like you say, Adam, locations. I mean, some people, one of my favorite YouTubers has absolutely nothing to do with the horror genre, and he's huge on YouTube. He's got over 11 million subscribers, and that's Casey Neistat. The guy is so inspirational. I watch him, and like within minutes, there's just something about what he does. Granted, he's incredibly talented, as you know, for someone who's involved in film and everything. But it's just, yeah, I love watching individuals on YouTube because they care more about what they're doing than than Hollywood's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was. I think I'm down to like 10. There's like 10 different user channels that I'll always check first. Thankfully, because I subscribe, I'll always get the notifications. But you know, if I want to watch a good urban exploration, I'll watch that. If I just want to laugh at some dumb, silly stuff, I'll go to We Watched a Movie with Wham and Mike and Jay. It's just, you want to laugh, you got to watch Mike and Jay because there's skits and the stuff they do, and you can kind of look at the early videos and what they do now. They've come a long way.
Yeah,
they shoot a high camera and in the living room versus what they do now. I mean, it's just, I get more for value for watching Patreon than anything else.
A certain way, and I hate using that because I feel like that's the wrong direction to envy someone, especially when it comes to YouTube. But it's the fact that they could have that camaraderie where there's two of them that can do that. I've always wished, in a sense, that I could do that with mine. Ironically, I was kind of hoping that I could get, and it's nothing personal like you or anybody else that subscribes to my channel, but it's obviously someone that's in your neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like the guy who's helped me model masks in recent like raffles, like with the Shape 78, and when I had that raffle for the and I should be proud that other people have used Michael 40. When I've already told you about that anyways, but he modeled that, and him and I have known each other since we were kids.
Oh yeah.
And when he agreed to help me I wanted to do something that was related to horror, but I wanted to introduce something else that I enjoy as comedy very much. And I love parodies. And I was trying to do something, and no one hardly watched it. I came up with this idea of the paranormal trailers. In other words, you know, trailer parks, the RV homes or whatever. Because I wanted to do something goofy, and I wanted to make fun of myself. And I was trying to come up with the character idea for David. His character was this, he had medium psychic powers, but he was also a panhandler. Because let's face it, everywhere in this country, probably in this world, we deal with panhandlers all the time. So David, a panhandler, had these psychic abilities, and yet we have a town nearby called Xenia, and unfortunately, Xenia was struck by major tornadoes back in 1974, and it was the trailer courts that got slammed.
Yeah.
So I claimed that my character, which was going to have a different name every week just to see if people would catch on. One week it was going to be Bob, the next week it was going to be Jim or whatever. But anyways, my major search was to find the love of my life, and it was a hamster that died in a trailer. So
I
was trying to find goofy stuff to do, but nobody really cared about it.
That reminds me of us when I was younger, back in my 20s, Oklahoma, the strip club that I went to, because you have to in the Army. You have to. It's by law. You have to look for your wife. We went into this strip club, and I swear to God, I'm not lying to you. They had one stripper. They tried to pass off as 6 different dancers. And she would come out with a different wig and a different name. And we're like, that's the same girl that was on the last dance, because it's the same tattoo on her waist or whatever. And then it'd be like, come to the stage, Xenia or Aphrodite. And we're like, she just left the stage. She's still breathing heavy. Look at her. The poor girl. She just did 4 dances in a row. You got one stripper. Anyway, has nothing to do with anything. It just reminded me of my crazy random stripper story from Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
I don't know why, but that just sounds like that would fit perfect in a comedy.
You mentioned Trailer Park, and it's ironic. A couple of weeks ago, and this is one thing I love about Netflix: the ability to binge watch an entire series. I'd always heard about Bubbles and Mr. Leahy and Ricky and Julian with the Trailer Park Boys, and being from Alabama, you'd think I would have started watching that when it first came out. But I didn't. And I finally, I don't know how I stumbled upon one episode and I watched it. And I swear to you, I didn't get off the couch. I watched every show front to back. And then I waited for season 12 to come out, because I had ended at season 11. I think that was the season that Snoop Dogg was on there in J-Rock's last season. But I get more pleasure out of that stupid trailer humor than watching the accomplished film that won Academy Awards. That's just me, though. Anyway, but so 3 weeks ago, the character Randy, who's allergic to fabric and can't wear a shirt, actually came to Richmond and did a concert. It was phenomenal. I just loved it. He came and played a local music hall, and there was about 200 people there, and it was just wonderful. My wife didn't go to that one. She said no. But I went with a neighbor of mine, and we had a blast. It was awesome.
I'm sure Randy, when they came out, obviously before Netflix,
Yeah, there were Canada. I think even Dave explained to me it was like Canada owned through season 5, and then Netflix picked them up back when is that when Netflix was still sending CDs to your home or DVDs?
The thing of it is,
that's Redbox.
Yeah, I didn't have Netflix when they were doing that. When it was when it was available to stream, that's when I discovered it. And when I
I forgot what season they picked them up, and then they formed that company called SwearNet. I'm not too familiar on my Trailer Park history. I do know that Mr. Leahy was phenomenal drunk. He was great. Ricky is so stupid. Yeah.
I blame Netflix on a weight gain for me.
Oh,
yeah, because it's so easy. It's so easy because before Netflix, I had to get up off of the couch to grab the CD or the DVD or whatever to physically move to put it in there. Now with Netflix, the movement is going from one side of the couch to the other.
I think I learned that on House of Cards, because I was able to watch. They said coming to Netflix season 3 House of Cards, and I'm thinking, okay, we'll watch episode 1 Friday, episode 2 the next Friday. No, it was every episode, boom, one shot, one kill, and I'm like, oh, I like this. But then you have that dry spell for a year or 9 months. So yeah, and that happened with me with Stranger Things. I watched Stranger Things, and I was so into it, and I watched. It was a snow day. We were stuck in the home, and I was watching the Stranger Things. I got into it. I really liked it.
Yeah, I watched the first season. I haven't even gotten the second, because I was like a late bloomer with Stranger. You'd think I would have watched it since day one, but I just you binge watching all these TV series that are on there. It's like, okay, I've got to watch this one first or whatever. But yeah, I haven't seen the second.
I'm cheating on Netflix with YouTube, so it's kind of what I do now is watch. Like right now, I'm watching. I used to be big into the whole JFK assassination research. I've been watching a lot of news shows that I found from people that were around at the time that did it, that the government didn't kill to keep quiet.
Yeah.
So I've been finding all these videos that just didn't exist back in 1992 or 93 when I originally started following it. So,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, I go through, it's like I'll go through, like, say, a binge watching of YouTube for like a week and a half. And then I won't watch YouTube for probably about it's like I split it in months. Like 2 weeks I'll do Netflix and 2 weeks I'll do YouTube. You know, especially when there's like things that I'm trying to learn about or issues that I'm having around this house, you know, like garage door issue. Next thing you know, I'm watching all these videos on how to fix your garage door, stuff like that. And then, of course, when you know, let's say the new Halloween movie is coming out. Now, if you're watching this video part, no, it hasn't come out yet. It's hypothetical. You start binge watching certain individuals, then it's like, do I want to watch it because I might see too much? Now, no, when Star Wars comes out the end of the year, I'm doing everything in my power not to watch one trailer. I did that with The Force Awakens, and I'm so glad I did, because when I went to go see it in the theater with my son, I was 8 years old, 7 years old. Yeah, because it was like, oh my God. You know, I didn't see 1 second of it. So I'm hoping, I'm doing this for every Star Wars fan. It's not just for me. I'm doing this for every. I feel like since it worked on The Force Awakens, the next one, if I don't watch anything, maybe it'll be great, like experience a great film like that one, because obviously so many were disappointed in The Last Jedi. We all know that. So I seen a trailer on it before I seen the movie. So maybe it's my fault.
Well, they do. I do have a problem with some trailers, because the only reason, like the Pet Cemetery trailer, kind of ruins the movie, because we know how the first one kind of went. Gage being the victim, kind of give away too much, and it's almost not like they're not rehashing or rebooting it. They're not even trying. It's like they're just taking the 1989 script and just flipping 2 characters. And I don't know. For me, it's going to be kind of hard to beat Fred Gwynn.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then, of course, you know, with the Halloween 2018, if they had just left that closet scene where she opened the door out of the trailer, it would have worked. But to me, they killed it.
Yeah,
by one of his jump scares. You can't give away jump scares.
And see, you were lucky during that. And this will make sense in a moment. Obviously, with this YouTube channel, has been very heavily with Halloween. How on earth could I have gotten away without doing a reaction or my thoughts of the trailer and not do it? You know what I mean? So I felt the same way when they did the closet. It's like, when I watched the trailer for the first time, because I had the green screen up and I'm literally watching it from that day when the trailer came out. I remember I was at work and people would message me like, well, what'd you think? What'd you think? And it's like, I hadn't seen it yet, because I knew that it was going to come on, but thankfully I drive for a living, so I technically couldn't. So I purposely waited till I got home, set everything up, the lights and everything, because you got to light the hell out of your green screen. So here I'm watching that on my phone, and at that time I'm thinking, just like you said with the closet, I'm thinking, oh man, I wish I had not watched that trailer, because I knew they were too much.
And they didn't even try to reshoot it differently in the movie. They just took it from the movie. At least in the scene where she was talking to, he wasn't even the sheriff. He should have been the sheriff. But when, you know, he said, she goes, "You're not afraid of the boogeyman?" Well, you should. Well, at least in the trailer, it was a different take from what they used in the movie, because in the movie, her tone was a little bit quieter. I know I'm nitpicking, but in the trailer, it was a different scene. It was a different take. It was like take 2, whereas the scene they used in the movie might have been like take 6. And you could tell by her tone. At least they tried with a different setup. Yeah. But in the closet scene, it was like it was the identical scene.
Yeah. The funny thing of it is, in every single one of us that are a franchise, we all have our absolute fantasy right to visualize what we thought we had seen or what we would like to have seen, you know, before and after. When we were watching that trailer, now we've all seen the film, of course, now. at this point now, Michael's obviously has the mask on. The kid, it's Halloween, beggars night, trick or treat, and then Michael's walking up the side of the house to go into the garage to grab the hammer. I honestly thought during the time when I'm watching that trailer, something got my attention. I'm thinking, oh my God, is this the original house? Is this supposed to be not in real life, but in the film? Is this supposed to be the Myers house? Is this why we're seeing Michael walk down the driveway, kind of like in the original Halloween, as he's coming from behind the tree, going to the right side of the house to walk around to go into the back entrance? So here we have him go to the garage to get the hammer. So I'm thinking, is this what we're kind of experiencing? Is that why is he? Because as I'm watching the film,
that's what confused me too. Because I thought that was 1978. I kept looking at cars. I'm like, okay, if I could just see a car, I can tell what time frame this is. And they did a very good job masking what time frame that could have been. Because when you see the lady in the robe and the curlers, I'm thinking, based on her house and her garage, that could be 1978, 80. Yeah.
I mean, they did.
It didn't feel like 19 or 2018, but you know, when you have Marion Singh come to the window, you knew that was contemporary. Mm-hmm. But just to see him walk down that alley and you're behind him, you're thinking he got it from the house and now we're behind him 20 minutes later after he fell off the balcony. And that's what confused me. And it took watching that movie to figure out, oh, so this is how he got away and this is how he got the mask at the gas station. I'm like, well, the only problem I had with the movie overall was, I mean, it's good they paid homage to the prior movies, mm-hmm. but let's pay the homages like in the first 45 minutes and then just stop it. Because at some point now you got Halloween's greatest hits, but you're trying to be scared at the same time. But I saw the movie 3 times in the theater. They got their money from me.
Yeah, I seen it. Let's see. I live 1.7 miles from a movie theater where it obviously has the lounge seats and all that. Nice. And I purposely bought the tickets through my Fandango app. Mm-hmm. And I bought 2 tickets. The guy, like I said, who did the modeling, you know, it's him. I went ahead and got 2 tickets because I asked him, hey, do you want to go see Halloween? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, I'd love to. And I was like, so him and I, we went to go see the film. And then I went to go see it the next day. Actually, I bought 4 tickets in one day because I bought my son and I to go see it the following day because I was it Friday or Saturday? I can't remember. But yeah, I seen it 3 times in the theater before I you know, on iTunes. And I was like, okay, I got to buy the Blu-ray because now I was hoping the commentary would be in it, which it's the exact same thing. It's on iTunes as on the Blu-ray or DVD.
Yeah, the added scenes or the deleted scenes were too short. It's like every time they'd show a scene, after about 3 to 4 seconds, it'd clip to another one. I didn't like the bonus scenes that they cut. I think the longest one they showed was like when the dog was in the tree. But for the most part, a lot of that was just too short. You know, at least make them a little bit longer. But I thought it was just too short. I've yet to watch anything else as far as the added features. I've only had the 4K disc for about a week now.
No, I haven't. I don't have that. In fact, I just gave my son the DVD, the Blu-ray thing. It's in his bedroom. As the film itself, I enjoyed the how I really. In other words, I know it's impossible to do it, but the fact how Jamie Lee Curtis, her perspective, her thoughts as her character going back in as Laurie, the way she visualizes the film of her character, I really think, you know, I'd love to see that in the film itself. Or, but I enjoyed it. It was good. I know it seems like there were more people that enjoyed Halloween 2018 than disliked it, and I feel sorry for people that didn't. That, you know, we waited so long for this to come out, and then after going to see it, and they didn't like it, I felt sorry for them, you know?
Well, I thought it was a great movie. There was just a couple of pieces I thought were just cheesy. Yeah. One scene with the doctor when he jumped in front of the hood with the mask, I could have done without that. But otherwise,
yeah,
it worked.
A Halloween fan did not like that scene.
I really wish they would have left the shower scene in the movie, because then you understood the relationship between the podcast couple, because you didn't really know the relationship, if it was platonic or if they were intimate. In the shower scene they left out told you, oh, they were hooking up.
I would love to see more of them. Honestly, they were.
Yeah.
I know that that's a great thing when you're building the story. You want to get involved with the characters, but I wanted to see more of them. Honestly,
And I would have taken more of that. And the son-in-law, just take him out of the entire movie. He's on a trip somewhere. Don't even have him in the movie, because the minute he said he had peanut butter on his penis, I'm like, I didn't need that humor at this point in the film. And I thought he was silly. And he's a comedian. He's very well known for playing like Frank Sinatra roles back in the old MTV days.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I remember.
I could have done without that, but I thought it was a great movie overall. And I think yeah, that's right. If Gordon Green doesn't come back, I think it kind of segues toward now Curtis has an out, and she dies on the back of the truck. Come to think of it, she got stabbed and fell off a building. I mean, she went through some trauma.
Yeah.
If he comes back, he lives. That's my perspective so far.
Yeah.
I don't. Unless they did something in the contract like they did with H6, where she had to come back for that piece of garbage movie. Or I'm sorry, H8. H8. Apologize. Actually, I didn't mind Curse too bad.
Resurrection. Yeah.
Resurrection. Yeah. Remember, she came back to die in the first scene. I'm like, if Gordon Green doesn't come back, I think we might be seeing that.
Yeah, but you're right about that.
Jamie Lee Curtis is not afraid of money, though. We know that.
If we get a chance to see the credits, and of course we will before the film starts, if we have an opportunity to see the credits of almost everybody returning, and I'm talking about direction, production, how it's written, if it's the same names, so far we're in good shape.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand Jamie Lee Curtis, what I heard, and then of course John Carpenter. I'm thinking, okay, things are sounding good, but we could have a good, I want to say, second part of 2018, if that makes any sense. But so I guess we gotta just hope that happens. Yeah, you're right. If there's a missing piece,
yeah,
Gordon, we could all of a sudden have Michael's the guy who was driving the pickup truck. It's not impossible. They've done it before, not that written before, but it's not impossible for them to do something like that.
Who's to say there's not a backup escape door that she was supposed to get out had she been trapped down there?
That's what I'm thinking. I've tried to watch, I don't want to say frame by frame, but anytime they've been down in that basement, I would try to focus, as if my eyes were a wide screen to see if there's because I'm thinking that's how he's going to have to get out of there, but then here we have the next Halloween film, and hopefully James is returned to play Myers. I hope to God. And he should feel honored because I have a feeling a lot of people want to see him returning playing Myers. How's Michael going to do what he does when he only has one healthy hand?
I made sure purposely when I had that couple of minutes with him at his table Saturday not to ask those questions, because I kind of knew. We all kind of think that he has to come back because he did a great job and he's believable as the character. I mean, it wasn't George Wilbur, who just didn't look like a Myers. It wasn't.
Seems like
Chris Duran did okay. I think Chris Duran did okay as a Michael. But when you look at Michael Myers in the outfit, he's not 250 pounds. He's like 180. And then when I was standing next to Nick and James at the picture, I'm 6'2", and I'm sure Nick's shrunken a little bit, but Nick's probably about 5'10", and James probably 6'3", 6'4". And he looked the role. He looked the character versus, and I like George P. Wilbur, but George P. Wilbur just looked,
it's
didn't work.
It's out of, I mean, this is just not trying to sound rude at all. We're all shaped differently, I'm stating the obvious. Wilbur has a certain figure about him, and I'm trying to be very respectful because we're all different, and that's.
He looked good in 4. He did look good in Halloween 4. I think it was The Curse was when it kind of, his body may have shifted a little bit.
My friend David, who's done the Myers, the moment he put on, because I got a pair, I've actually got like 4 pairs of Big Mac coveralls.
Right.
And he put on these Big Mac coveralls that are a 44 or 42 regular. It's one of
Mhm.
the two that I when he put those on, he hadn't even put the mask on yet. I looked at him, I'm like, son of a he had that
Mhm.
perfect figure for those coveralls. I'm like, I've got to start working out more. Um, but I think another thing about with me with James being in the Myers, I visualize obviously the very first scene that they shot in that film was Nick Castle, obviously, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
a little scene and how Nick said he basically handed the torch over to James. See that now for me, it's like, oh, okay, so Nick okayed it because that's what I'm thinking. And James, as I watched the Halloween the second time, just appreciating him as Michael Myers, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I could dig this. I'm liking him as Myers.
And plus, with them showing his face in the beginning scenes without the mask on and just his facial shape,
Yeah.
it kind of I don't see them going with somebody else at all.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he brought back, his guy, and I don't know why they didn't pick Nick. Or I guess Nick had moved on to producing and filming by the time they did Halloween 2. Because
Yeah.
the obvious was to be to get him to come back to the movie, because at some point he still had the mask, and then he gave it to Deborah, and then Deborah stored it under her bed, and then Dick Warlock got the role just by not tricking, but he was clever. He put the mask on and just walked and stared at
Yeah.
Rick Rosenthal, and he's like, "Who are you?" And he didn't answer, and he just kind of creeped out Rick. He said, "I'm your stunt guy." And he just asked to play the part, and Rick was like, "Sure." But I think if Carpenter had been in that role, because him and Nick are friends, probably would have been. I think it still would have been Nick Carpenter that directed it.
Yeah, Nick was definitely involved a lot with the writing. No, I'm sorry, I don't want to say it as writing Halloween, but he was very much involved with doing more writing roles, and he was getting into his own. Obviously, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that much further into The Last Starfighter, for example, as a
Great
director.
movie.
Yeah, uh,
Great movie.
but there's when it comes to the iconic. I guess I should be careful about this, but let's face it, when it comes to a certain iconic facial imagery with that mask, everybody knows it with Nick Castle, the stretch. And people say
Mm-hmm.
Dick Warlock. Yeah, I could see that, but one thing that a lot of people don't think about, and this is nothing against Dick Warlock at all whatsoever. This is actually no disrespect towards any of them. That the Dick Warlock is more known for that mask being stretched, not necessarily true. You watch through most of the film, it's not stretched, only to the point at the end of the film when that's where you're seeing the stretch because people are not thinking about there's tubes up in that mask, the
Yep.
tubes that makes the blood drain out. So that's giving it more of a stretch, the
Yep.
and all that. Like I said, this is no disrespect to Dick Warlock to take away the imagery of that mask, but that's what's really giving it the stretch. But to give
And plus,
credit,
you helped your budget by giving your stunt coordinator a little bit more, because there's no speaking role, so you're not paying him to speak.
yeah,
But in the entire Halloween 2, we've all dissected it. There was a silly made-for-TV version where they kind of moved a lot of scenes around and extended some scenes where he was chasing Mr. Garrett. They took a scene where he was going underground to catch Laurie. They actually moved that walking montage to the beginning and made it look like he was coming after Mr. Garrett. It was so awful. I think it was on ABC or NBC. That was being shown on ABC for like years. Terrible TV version H2. You can probably find it on YouTube. But the only scene in Halloween 2 I thought that they got right that I cannot find any fault with is the needle scene with Anna Alicia. And to me, I really thought I was watching Nick Castle in that scene.
yeah. It's funny. The mask that's in this glass cabinet, the cover mask, which is this third one down here, that obviously nag mask. There were certain times that when I had it set, it reminded me of that scene. It's that mask when there's certain shadowing hitting it, and I don't know, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's just something, but eh, if anything, with Dick Warlock did something that no other Myers has done yet. If you think about it, technically. I mean, the fact that we're just alone, I know somebody beat his time, but walking as a Human Torch that long,
Oh God!
you
They
don't.
said they did that. They did that one twice, I believe. That scene.
I don't remember. I remember
It
hearing.
was a documentary. It was could have been bonus features for the H2 re-release. It's got a lot of Rick Rosenthal and Dick Warlock, Tiny Moyer, Pamela Shoup. I mean, it's got everybody. Lance Guest, who is going to be at one of the cons coming up. I think it's going to be Union Hill Valley. I can't remember. It's the one in Maryland. Ash was going to be there from Evil Dead 2.
Okay.
I'll send you the details on those.
I feel that it's very important for every fan, if you have an opportunity to go to a convention.
Sure.
If Dick Warlock, and I know that Warlock is not his true last name, but it's easier to say it that way. If you have the opportunity to go, because let's face it, we're not all going to be here we all lost Stan Lee not too long ago. And I'm not I'm crude, and I'm not trying to sound like, but Dick Warlock, he's not getting any younger.
But he is fun to watch on Instagram. He is very active on Instagram. I'm sure you know that. He's funny.
But I would love to just, if there was, it would be very important to go see him, at least shake his hand and say thank you. And I don't want to bother him anymore because he's so busy. But I feel like that would be very important for, if every Halloween fan, I know that's 1 million people. Well, more than 1 million.
Doesn't he live over Tennessee?
I
lived in Tennessee.
There's somebody, to save names, just to be on the safe side. We know of a certain artist that knows exactly where he lives. I'll leave it at that. Protect identities, but it's not that far from the Midwest, from what I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he was at age 40. I know he was at age 40. But maybe he'll get out and do another one of the bigger ones.
I know it wasn't that long ago. A lot of us have had the opportunity to hear him say that he doesn't do as much because obviously the hip surgery, the hip replacement that he had, and just because he just can't get around as easily as he used to, which is understandable. But
he did a lot to his body. I mean, to be Kurt Russell's stunt double for how long? Almost 2 decades or something?
And how many? I don't think. Nothing against stunt doubles today. That's because of CGI. But I don't think they did nearly as much as what Dick Warlock did all those years. And
one of the coolest photos I've ever seen of him is him, Kurt Russell, double Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
It was one of the coolest. That's his coolest photo I've seen. I like that one more than Myers.
I'll tell you what, Dick Warlock would probably have scared out of so many of us if we got into the passenger seat of a car. Because as well as I do, he'd say, "Hey, you want to see something cool?" Probably scare us to death.
Well, he's the one that drove into Bennett Tramer into that van and rolls out the driver's door and gets up. I mean, I didn't find that out till probably 15 years after the movie came out.
Yeah, and when you watch the scene now, even though they blurred him up so well as the cop, you're like, yeah, there he is.
And in the TV version, he actually spoke.
Yes, he did.
So he came out of nowhere, couldn't stop or something like that. Yeah.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Obviously, he's in that. You get to see him as one of the zombies or whatever. But he did all the stunt driving. And there's some scenes where the way he's driving that car is like, man, I know I'd be sitting in that passenger seat, like holding onto the dash like you did back in the day. I just know he would have scared the hell out of so many of us. Because it seemed like if there was one thing that Dick Warlock really did well, because I've even heard him talk about it, is that the stunt abilities of driving those cars like a daredevil. I'd
be a passenger.
Again, be kissing the ground. He'd scare you so much on that. Oh my God! You know what, Chris? I just realized something. It is almost 10 o'clock. You know, the thing of there is somebody that I follow on YouTube, not as much, but he does these Google Hangouts with all his patrons. He does it once, and those guys will be on there for all night long. They're just having a big old party, and that, you know, hopefully, and let's just say 6 months from now, let's say there's 10, you know, myself and 10 other patrons. I'm kind of hoping I'd like to do that, like once a month, where all of us are just, and it wouldn't, it would, the video itself that we're doing would just be for patrons only. But I think it'd be fun to do, you know, if everybody wanted. It's up to you to show up, but it'd be like just a big party. You know what I mean? That's one of my goals to do.
Yeah, because yeah, Dave, he does it. He'll send the invite out depending on which tier you're in.
Yeah,
you know, I think I'm in the top one called McRae. So if you're McRae, that group can come in and do a Q&A or little discussion on YouTube Live. And that's worth it. I mean, to me, it's cool. It's worth it. Like I said, I'd rather watch that than The Voice.
Yeah,
or a guy that doesn't have talent.
And the other individual that's a patron right now, out of respect for, and I've got to talk to him soon. He wants to stay more private, and that's fine. He has his reasons, and I have to respect that. And I want to say a name, you know, but I think, you know what, even if I say his first name, he might feel uncomfortable with it because there are reasons why he wants to be private, and I want to respect that. So it's a shame too, because I'd love, maybe down the road when he realizes it's just a patrons only and a hangout, he could be a part of it.
Sure.
A real nice guy. He's been following me for the longest time, like yourself, and he's just. I'm hoping that, like I said, if the patron if it just grows to whatever, let's say 5 people, that's probably when I'll start doing it, because it'd be kind of silly. No offense, but you know, if it's like a handful of us to do it once a month, then it would just be strictly a video for patrons only.
Cool.
We could pretty much, as this guy that I had followed as a patron as well, his name's David DeFranco, 30 years old, and he creates content for a living, you know, at his home, and he does so much.
Kids, he's a kid.
Yeah, he does a hangout once a month, and it's a big party, you know, every month. It's just him. Sometimes one of the patrons would show up at the house, and everybody's having drinks, and it's like everybody's hanging out at the house having a big party, and they're getting drunk and everything. So, but yeah, maybe who knows? We'll see what happens down the road. We'll just have to wait. I have to get more active on here. I know that for sure. But
you throw a lot of people off because you have your bar, but you only drink coffee. So
yeah, well, you know, I figure if we all do a big hangout or something like that, if everybody's going to have like a couple beers or something, I might do that too. But I have to, because basically if I'm still going to have an adult tasty beverage, it's going to be being socializing with others. I just can't drink alone. Just can't do it.
Yeah.
Even back when I was younger, I couldn't drink alone. So, but yeah.
Well, this was fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. I knew, like, before we did this, you said you wanted to make sure you're prepared. And I'm thinking, you know, once he's probably into it about 5 minutes, he'll realize he'll probably forget we're even recording. And about 98% of the time, sometimes I forget I'm recording.
Yeah,
oh crap.
As soon as we're done, that whole area has to go back to my wife's cricket area. So I don't want to lose my man card on day one with the cricket air or whatever it's called.
You know, it's when myself and my better half is going to be watching this, most likely, if she hasn't fallen asleep by now. We have goals, and if those goals do achieve certain things, then I'll probably have a cricket area myself too. This stuff will probably disappear. So, but she loves this stuff. She loves the horror stuff. She just likes to. I guess you could say, you do your YouTube thing. She doesn't want to, which I can respect. She doesn't like to get involved in it, so she likes to keep her life private. But at the same time, she's curious about it.
Sure.
So, Well, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and basically get us to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you, Chris, for obviously participating in this hangout.
Sure.
Obviously, thank you so much for this. This is awesome. Amazing photo, period. I mean, yes, the signature and all that, I highly appreciate. You went out of your way to obviously do this. I mean, great, you got a chance to sit down and meet him. But this backstory alone, like you said, he's signing this as you're talking to him in that photo.
Yeah, go back and look at the picture where I'm a little too close to James, but he was cool with it, and he had that picture right in front of him. He was getting ready to sign it. So yeah,
What's just really cool about it. It's just different, and that's what I love about it. It's when we had our first Halloween, it was all original. This is like,
yep.
It's Michael Myers, not original, but this is like an original photo, you know. And the coveralls look cool as hell too.
Yes,
it's aged. The photo, the way it's done, it looks aged perfectly. And but yes, thank you for that. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for all the support you've done. One of these days, if we ever have another raffle, I'm going to make sure that there's only one ticket being bought.
you ain't got to compromise your integrity for that. It's fine.
Oh God,
They're fun.
Those
just like playing a game.
Those are a lot. Those are. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. But yeah, I'm always so glad when it's because I always feel bad that nobody. There's only one winner sometimes, and it's like God. Oh, you hate breaking people's hearts at times. You really do. But it is what it is. Hey, I got to see these masks come into my home for a month, and then I have to ship them off. I've had some true loves leave this house. So
yeah, the couple of minutes I was around that 98 proto, I was like, that's a 98 proto. I've never seen one in person, and then it looks better than the picture.
Yeah, it's like
75 Kirk. I mean, I just saw all those masks at this con, very well carried by the individuals that owned them, and I was just like, I know what that is. I know what that is. That's a
yeah.
Dick Warlock, Ken Herline mask. I could tell which is which just by looking at them. It was just nice.
Yeah, from what I understand, and now that you've experienced it, seeing in person is so different than seeing it in pictures. Are you still there?
I'm still here. Did I fall off?
I thought something happened there for a moment. Might have been me. I don't know. But before I do finally shut up, was there anything else at the convention or anything else that you wanted to say before we finally say goodbye to everyone who's lasted this long?
Just that if you've never been, go. Definitely go. And if you're thinking about going, get your hotel rooms early. And even if they're sold out, they do have availability up until the last minute. But it's better it's better to try to stay in the con building than being 2 streets down there. Just because, like if you're in New Jersey, to get from 2 blocks, you got to drive 20 miles because there's no U-turns in New Jersey. You get to go back before you move forward. But we planned it with a 2-week, notice of us going, and it worked out great. Even if we planned it the day before, Holiday Inn would have still had rooms, and it's a great spontaneous trip. Just make sure you take cash, and just be ready for some strange looking but welcoming people, because everybody was just cool.
And like you said, if you're not used to New Jersey's laws, there's no such thing as self-serve there with your fuel. So yes, that would be
yelled at. Don't pump your gas. They'll yell at you.
Yeah. Here in Ohio, the self-service gas stations probably went out back in the 80s, or the full service. I'm sorry. Yep. All right. Well, Chris.
No, this was fun. Thank you.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I said this was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, they are. They're great. I have a lot of fun. I mean, I haven't obviously. I've done like a conversation or whatever with like if you haven't seen him yet, the real James Grimm. He's been really active on YouTube here lately. He's a huge horror fan.
Okay.
Halloween fan. He's in his 30s, but he's into this big time. He does a lot of the head talking and all. And him and I, we tried to do something not that long ago, but we were having some technical difficulties, which the irony of that subject where I did a little video warning people to watch a certain video. And
well, I found him on Facebook, and we have like 20 mutual friends. Go figure.
Yeah. He lives out in California, so I know one thing. He would definitely, yeah. I'm sure if he goes to a convention out west, he would love to share some of that as well too. So,
Oh, no doubt.
But these things, yeah, they're fun. Sometimes you really forget that you're doing something, well, the YouTube thing or whatever. You really do forget about it, which is nice. No offense to the people that are watching, but I don't know. There's just something about it. You just I don't know. If you're not comfortable with cameras, about 5 minutes later, you forget that you're talking to your webcam. Yep. So, all right. Well, Chris, I'm going to stop recording and thank you once again. And if you guys have lasted this long, I know I'm probably speaking for Chris. Thank you for tolerating our conversation.
Thank you, Scott. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And hey, if they want to participate, they know what to do. It's the whole Patreon thing, I guess. So right. I'll eventually more information, but I don't like dwelling on it. I don't like beating a dead horse, which I think I've already done twice. All right. Well, guys, we'll see you soon. Take care and it is the weekend, right? Yes, it is. Not a band or an artist, but it's the real weekend. See ya. Take care.
Bye.